What is up, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Midnight Ranting. Earth? Thousands or billions of years old, where tonight we are throwing a modern day debate after party on whether the Earth is in fact thousands or billions of years old. So won't you join James W. or myself, Amy Newman, for some earthly fun and gizmo?
Getting old here.
That's right. Welcome, misfits, and everyone out there on the intertubes. My goddess, I don't know how they make it all fit. Please, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Hey, because then you gain access to that all button icon, which will give you reminders to see our premieres or join our live streams. Woohoo! We are a skeptic channel, admittedly, including the two schmucks that you see before you. However, after I'm going to need a little bit of housekeeping and opening
have a good
statements.
Ian's got to run, but he just sent us 10 Aussie dollars, so thank you, Ian.
Oh my. We are sending love. He is showing a super sticker, but now I need to know. It's a super flight with a cape. Thank you so much, Ian.
We'll see you next time.
And everyone out there in the skeptic and ranting community, sending so much love, especially to Ian, who I just have to send love out because he mans our Facebook skeptic and ranting community, starting to post more of the memes. That's where I got my latest community post. I can't help it. And more to come.
Was that your Noah's Ark post?
Yes.
Love, terms and conditions.
Exactly. And I also loved how it was just frames. That was kind of like a lucky coincidence. But yeah, on the mobile, you can't see anything below until you click it. And it's like, terms and conditions may apply to the God of love.
What did George Bond, he posted, he's like, oh, you'd think there was no warning. Like, it's like, well, okay. God's like, hey, I gave him a warning. I don't know. I'm going
to warning was people, I'm going to kill you. Do. But the spice is real. We actually want views that differ from our own to come on and, speak your mind. Woohoo! Sending so much love.
Pat, make it a rain. Send him multiple dollars.
Because we love Pat, and now I just can't help it. Whenever I see Pat, I think of also Biddy Buddha, and just everyone out there should be learning some shit.
Learn some shit.
Woohoo! See, now I just have such a really, really dirty mind. I can't help but thinking these repeated ones just create a very distinct visual. I can't quite imagine what it is, but I feel like you would need to figure out if you... Sending love to Pat. Lowinger, sending so much love.
Pat brought a stack of ones with him.
But yes, we will give anyone the chance to have their own opening and closing statements. Come as you are. Just normally say not on my sheets. I guess on the sheets. I'll do laundry tomorrow. It'll be fine. But sending so much love. And this housekeeping is in fact sponsored by our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman, including awesome Patreons like us from the Atheist Roundtable and the Atheist Network Group. Tang Gang Yo, Connecting Atheists have done many fantastic episodes lately on there,
Always
just as LGBTQ plus and secular allies out there. So it has been fantastic. We have had the Behind the Curtains with myself and Godless Engineer, which was a fantastic stream. My lordy, you should already be at youtube.com/the
I'm sure they are.
Network Group. That's right, baby. Because we're hashtag doing it better. And also sending love and tucking him in. Everyone. To bed or at work or whether you're making a Hot Pocket. We're sending love to Ian Davenport.
Thanks, Ian. Woo-hoo! Sunflower misses Amaretto. He's asking where's Amaretto.
Hey, sending love out there. I think she's part of the Facebook community.
She's still on the Discord, yeah.
And she's on the Discord.
Yeah.
Sending
see the video.
lots of love.
I hope you're doing well.
Exactly.
She comes on once in a while.
That's what she or they said. Also sending love. To a grumpy old cuz.
Hey, Grumpy.
When we just hear claims, sometimes that disagree with none of the theists or creationists in our chat. No. But yeah, there are some heart-shaped. Well, I'll tell you, if that was ever one of my notes tonight, it was a heart-shaped debate.
I think we were all collectively scratching our head at that point.
I mean, we're getting very close to Pokemon. That's all I care about.
Very close to Poe territory and that's the thing, is it's so hard to tell between a real fundamentalist and a Poe because they say almost exactly the same stuff.
Exactly. And sometimes you get brush because you say, a lot of people are like, why do you let so-and-so have their views on? And my response to me is just get your Poe-o-meter stick. Because let me tell you, when you leave not believing things for good evidence, generally empirical evidence, you get everything else. Just everything else. It's a wide variety.
Well, Brian, if that happens, we can bet it probably won't be on Praise's channel.
What is I want to see Amy versus Gavin round 3. Well, I don't know. I think Gavin is very filled right now. He's taking it from me and Praise right now.
Praise and
Gavin. We love Gavin and Praise. And I think James and I speak both. We don't take theological sides.
They're both equally wrong.
Kitty. This podcast is also sponsored. She wants food. She's like, let me eat, but I want to show her.
Oh, hi, Penelope.
Okay, she can. But yes, sending love to all of the cats, puppies.
That's right, Mark.
All of the carnivores on there. But also to Diana Smith. 3 princesses and 1, even though the Abrahamic religions don't treat, 51% of the other gender that amazing. Sometimes they actually get triggered very hard by the fact male servants, girl servants. I will.
Male cattle, she cattle.
I know, if you need to define and gender which cat'll go first. I feel like
Always the boy
spoiler,
cattle before the
I
girl
was
cattle.
going to say exactly. It's never the girl, and I don't mean to go feminista. I'm just saying when it's like 0 compared to every other number. But hey, no. I'm sure they were ahead of its time. Jesus was on a mound or something, telling people not to stab each other. We
He
couldn't
gave
figure
out a
that
bunch of fish. How cool is that?
which I imagine is
And
how
bread.
he gave out fish.
Yeah.
But yes, it'd have to come out fast. Also, that's what he or she said. Sending love also
Smells
to
like this.
Pat Lowinger. We saw him out in chat. Woo-hoo.
Hey, Pat. Thanks so much for making it rain.
That's right. Theologically speaking, of course. Biblically speaking, of course.
Like where they have to take the broom and sweep up the dollars when it gets that bad on the floor. Yeah.
Listen, this is what
some places they bring like the
well, I would say
blower.
Some places they do it like this. Other places they're a little bit less dishonest and they just pass it around and ask after they tell you that you're going to hell. Oh yeah. No. I need to get it in there.
Start
Am I not going to burn
cash
now?
Into the collection plate. Or blank checks to jewelry or your watch or anything else. Something of value.
Something, or even worse, because hell isn't real. Give us, please, your last $10 because I guarantee you'll get it back. It'll become 100, 1,000. What's
Infinite
your last
return
$10?
on your investment?
Exactly, infinite. Just plant that seed.
It's a special kind of crypto investing in God currency.
You never get to see the pointer.
Well, you have to be dead before you get your return.
But
don't worry, you'll get it.
Great system.
100% guaranteed. You'll get it.
100% guaranteed.
100%
money
guaranteed.
Back. We've heard that on a few streams, and that's why both of us are both Muslim Christians and whatever they were selling.
Crypto, that's right.
Excuse me. But also, sending so much love to Pat, and also Dale Pastor, who reminds us we're just looking for empirical evidence. How dare James? How dare us? You know that's cheating, right?
What right do we have to expect that of God, to demand He manifest something in the physical world for us?
Exactly, because Billy has cancer, but I kind of need to find my car keys.
Well, the cancer, of course, Amy, is part of God's perfect plan. He's got a plan. It's perfect. And we might not understand it. We might not understand how wonderful it is, but we just have to keep believing that He means everything for something good in the end. So.
You need to understand the 4D chess. Once you understand the 4D chess, it doesn't look so drowny.
Hey, Jenna. Good to see you out there, Jenna.
Woohoo! What is up, Jenna?
Jenna telling people to read the room. That's Jenna's new tagline.
That's a good tagline because it's what you should be doing as, a comedian, as an entertainer. It is good to read the room. I'll tell you, the only time I have ever bombed, and bombing is an interesting phenomena because there is a difference
between bomb, right?
a comedic bomb. That's true. I never went to a country because I would just bomb people of love. And those would
not the theistic kind of bombs.
Yes, though I imagine when you drop them, they look like Hello Kitty. Ooh, Mew. I love.
You didn't read the room when you bombed?
Yes. Because there's one thing. When you first do your first set, and normally you actually do average to decently average, and then you generally do your second or third, and then you kind of go up and up. You kind of do better You try and chase that feel, but then you eventually get better. When you bomb, it's not good or bad. It's horrible, and you can just feel it. You can feel waves of just people disagreeing with you, and you could tell from the first joke. The first joke, there's something in it that's like, oh, okay, this is not going anywhere. And I'll tell you that it was, I love everybody in the South, but I would just say that there were many, many cowboy hats in the place that did not like my anti-religion jokes, and yet
the Bible Belt. Yeah.
I will continue to
Preach to the
to
Bible
love
Belt.
everybody. Yeah, you gotta do.
It's all right.
And I did. I muscled through the set. That is the benefit of memorization, because you're sweating in the background, but you blah, blah, blah.
Rote memorization. It works.
Exactly. But sending.
Say out there.
Who out there?
Pat.
Woohoo! I see so many
love. Just reading about a bunch of dead Christian martyrs, how some old dude's bones become magical. Just because he's executed by the state doesn't really make sense. So
no,
I don't know if you are aware, Amy. Like the Catholic altars, they're supposed to have like a relic of one of the saints in like a box under them. I've never actually seen it, but they tell me it's there, and that makes it more holy. A bone from one of the saints, or maybe one of their possessions, some type of ancient relic. Which used to actually be big business, these relics. People used to amass quite large collections of them. They were considered quite valuable.
I'm sure. Well, especially if you call anything holy, then you can attach a very significant price tag to it. It's from God, or inspired, or by one of the middlemen types, like the angels or prophets.
If you had enough money, you could own all 7,000 nails that were used to nail Jesus to the cross. Because there were that many of them out there, people claiming this is the real nail. No, this is the real nail. No, really? I've got the real nail.
Over that. Well, it's such a funny concept. I mean, first of all, it's a horrible, horrible way of torturing someone to be nailed.
Executing someone.
Yeah, executing like that. But I always ask Christians, would you take Jesus down? And I have yet to get someone to take him down. That sacrifice has got to happen, or the for sale on everything else cannot go on, ladies and gentlemen.
He
is the coupon that you must clip.
But he rose back from the dead, and so now we can continue with the praising and the loving and giving money to the pastors.
And you just imagine him screaming in the background. Oh, God, this is so good.
Father, why hast thou forsaken me?
Specifically, so, I don't know, Bob could have sex with Sarah, and then each of them can go ask for forgiveness with their
Amy has
their partners
in her head. Yeah. So the naughty thoughts you have in your head, Amy, you're there nailing those nails into the cross.
I know. Each and every lustful thing that I do, I apparently nails him one step closer in there. And so I figure by a day, we should have this thing done and wrapped up. Whew.
I mean, are there that many nails in the world? I mean,
Jesus, literally.
Yeah. We got Pasta Mike out there normalizing atheism. Hey, Pasta.
Oh, we're sending love. I see a lot of tags in there. We will send love. But I see Brett. I see Beamsy. I see Mark Reed. I see Sergey, Brian, Shane, Cranky, normalizing atheism. Woo! Which is an important thing. We should be normalizing atheism. The A word has such a negative connotation, specifically in the United States of America.
Not anymore. We're going to change that, right?
We're making it hashtag better. That's right. We are also sending love to Dave Carr, reminding us that the Earth is in fact round. We did. I think we kind of all got there on the debate. I think there was a little bit towards. It got a little bit heated on towards more of that than the age. But
There he is. Say hi, Senator.
what is up, Senator Cato? A shout
Hard
out
at work. Hard at work.
to Circus Mo. That's
Hard at
right,
work.
who works tirelessly day in, day out. And now we can pay him in high-end catnip.
Those naps are not going to take themselves, I'll tell you what.
Exactly. Woo-hoo, sending so much love, Senator Cato. And the entire Skeptic Ranting community sending so much love as we also send love to Scott Duke.
Scott Duke.
The hyena of the pack. And, well, evolution has been the subject. You know, we had a subject about it, and then we had a call-in show about it just because it got brought up into my mind because someone asked me, have you ever seen in your lifetime, because this was their gotcha, apparently, a organism that looked like a fish evolve into an organism that looked like a human? And they were saying, when, because that no one sees that because I think that's magic. But then they would say that's not empirical evidence. No.
Yeah. It only took like 800 million years to happen. Show me in a day.
I know. Well, and it defeats the entire purpose of having children and slowly but surely passing on those genetics, and it doesn't happen in a day.
So slightly.
I mean,
hey Dale, we got Dale Pascal out there.
And I would love to see a scientist that says that, just like a scientist that says that we come from nothing. Oh my! Yeah. But sending love to Rejoice, reminding us that we have our Skeptic Bible study. We actually do for a chapter in a day or so. Purdue, don't bother me. As the Bible gets a little bit stabby McStabberson for interfaith couples. Oh, pish posh. You know, you have your girlfriend or boyfriend, is one religion, and you're the other, which means that you now need to end that relationship via Stabby McStabberson. Wow. Or your neighbors. I'm sorry. Of course. Don't make it too personal. Yeah, strange fire.
Which strange fire?
Is such a weird verse. Was it green? It was green fire. Oh, seen any men picking up sticks on the Sabbath?
Oh, well, I mean, objective morality says they shall surely be put to death, right? That's objective morality, right?
Yes, objectively for the end of time, all good. But James, that's just the Old Testament. Something like a dude or something got 9-inch nails.
Oh yeah, remember he gave out the free fish and bread, so.
Yes.
Oh, hey, how about
the only way it could have been done, I imagine.
We took him out on the boat. He went out on the boat, Amy, and they weren't catching anything. They weren't catching any fish.
They weren't.
And he said, "Oh, check the other side of the boat," and then they caught like a bazillion fish. A bazillion fish.
I imagine, though, the very first fish, before that happened, he just had to be like, hey, do you see any fish? And then he reached behind one of the apostles here, just like, ah! I imagine. Is this your fish? And then just a gazillion fish. But exactly, science. Also, sending love to Rachel Holland.
Rachel.
The fantastic, the fabulous, and wonderful goddess, reminding us, of course, that a Bible, it would never support slavery. It would never support... Have you ever heard of the nations around you, James?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, funny about that, you can actually take the virgins for yourself.
Right, the virgins. The other ones have to be
The
killed.
other ones.
But
Yeah, they always rag on the insert whatever the other Abrahamic religion for the. But all of them seem to have an obsession with virgins. All of them, all of the Abrahamic religions. I don't know why.
it was a big deal. It was considered a big deal back then. Maybe Pat can tell us sometime why that was the case. That would be an interesting.
I'm sure there are anthropological reasons why it originated.
Virginity was such
But
an important
the
concept back then.
point I would just make would be for all of them to get over it. Mary wasn't. She was not. Or if she had a baby, I just have to say.
If she
Well,
even
I put
existed.
many. If she even existed, if she had a baby, if the story,
13
I
or
could put as
14
many
years old.
asterisks as I could. But yes, sending love to Rachel and sending love to. He was out there. He was sending so much love, and we are sending that love right back to Senator Cato.
Thank you, Senator Cato.
Reminding us of the separation of church and state, which is really one of the major themes of this channel, because it doesn't matter what version of theism you are, chances are if it's government, it's not going to be yours. So just have it neutral, not state-enforced atheism, which is the other straw man that we get. No, neutral. Doesn't care. You a believer, non-believer? We don't care. Sign here to get your DMV card, please. Yes, and sending love to Senator Cato. And sending love to the Queen herself. Sending love to Jenna. Woo-hoo!
Thank you, Jenna.
The fantastic, fabulous, and amazing producer out there at Tangangyo and other fantastic non-believer content. You should be checking her out because she's hosted many shows herself on Tangang as well. So go check them out, youtube.com/The Atheist Network Group. Once again, we do this hashtag better. Atheist. Exactly. Also, Connecting Atheist. If I didn't say this before, I think I did say Biddy Buddha, but youtube.com/YouTube _ Biddy Buddha. Right. YouTube.com Biddy Buddha _ Look, I just need to make sure we get all of the connected atheists because we are hashtag better. Tanga. We don't have to have atheist takedown videos. Boom, 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 blah, 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 blah. Isn't it fantastic, James? We have to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh man, who doesn't agree with us on our religious, our specific religious views? We can just, think they're all wrong.
Hey, Rejos out there on the Twitch.
What's up, Rejos? And Jenna and all the non-believers and last, or skeptics in Skeptic and Ranting community, and at least sending love to James Wolfe, who, of course, is reminding you that we are Midnight Ranting. That's right, the Midnight Ranting is one of our 3-ish open mics that we have here, along with Skeptic and Ranting and our Bible study. And so I want to thank all of our Patreons, sending love out there to all of our mods, the people in chat, and of course, viewers like you. And all right, I am going to just open to the open mics, and then we are going to head into the open gates. So with that, we are going.
Somebody says you look like Cher, Amy.
I look like Cher? Why, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. It's, I always say, flattery will get you everywhere. And all right. Even though I talked beforehand, I think I am ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Your body's ready.
My
Penelope's ready.
body is ready. That's right. What is up, Penelope? But in fact, you know what? I'm gonna say that you can continue to tag James W. and myself at Amy Newman in chat as we move forward in the show. You know what? I'm gonna do what we did plan. So,
Don't turn it over to
James
me.
W. Yes, we have just begun our midnight ranting. I would like to know the Earth. We know it's thick, but thousands or billions of years old.
So I hope you guys watched the debate. It was a good debate, at least from the scientifically minded side. These Christians, these scientific skeptics of science, should we say, at least they came and they were both pretty much up front. One of them is a quasi flat earther, and the other one, they're both fundamentalist Christians, and they both begin with the presupposition that the Bible's right, the Bible's true, literally as written, and therefore anything that disagrees with that, is very suspect, very suspect. And we got a very tragic argument, one of the worst I think anyone's ever heard. That we often see young Earth creationists try to put forward evidence of what they call rapid fossilization, that is, things that fossilize much faster than science says is possible. And he made the argument that a good chunk of the stones, rocks in the world are actually fossilized animal organs, because they kind of are in the shape of hearts or maybe other organs, mostly hearts though. Just a very, very bizarre claim. And yeah, it really just goes to show how off track you can get when you begin with your conclusion, when you begin with the fact that the Bible must be literally true as written, down to the letter, because that's how it would have to be true down to the letter for you to be able to date the world, to date the age of the earth by adding up genealogies in the Bible. A very, very dangerous way of looking at the world. And why would anybody want to arbitrarily begin by making that presupposition? And I think they made the very good point that God gave us reason, and we use our scientific method. We look at the natural world, and we see lots of indicators of an old Earth. We see many different lines of evidence, from tree rings, ice core samples, radiometric decay, the age of rocks, that all show that the world is much older than thousands of years. It is in the order of billions. We've got Specimen Ridge in Yosemite National Park, where there are 27 different layers of forests separated by the layer of volcanic ash in between. You'd almost think it was probably 27 separate volcanic eruptions at Yosemite. After each time, a new forest would grow, probably taking hundreds, if not thousands of years, and then eventually another eruption would happen. Not happening in 6,000 year time scale, not consistent with any type of magical global flood nonsense that they can conjure up out of nothing. And it's so amazing. They really beat this flood dead horse to death over and over again, trying to say this flood can do all these crazy things that we know it can't, because we know what large floods do, and it doesn't do what they're saying that they do. And Noah's Ark on top is like the cherry on top, is just another ridiculous addition. It's just a ridiculous cherry on top of a ridiculous sundae. And so it seems like if If God really did this and he designed it, the world is young, then he really seems like he did so deceptively to make it look like things are much older than they are. So then he can punish us when we reach the conclusion that maybe what we see in the natural world represents reality. Maybe, just maybe, it is old, because we're told in the Bible that at some point in the future there's going to be a time where God sends people delusion. That's where people wouldn't believe something. Otherwise, God makes them believe it, so he can then punish them for believing that delusion that he made them believe. So I guess apparently free will and anything like that really doesn't come into play here, because he's going to design things in a way that makes it look old. He's going to send people delusions, make people think things that are false, so he can punish them for it. And it reminds me of, for those of you who are fans of the Star Trek The Next Generation, probably one of the most famous episodes of that. I think it was called Chain of Command, where Captain Picard is going in a clandestine operation into Cardassia, and he gets captured, and he's held prisoner, and he's interrogated by a Cardassian interrogator. And what the interrogator wants him to do, he's got 5 lights on, and he wants him to say that there's 5 lights when there's 4 lights up in the room. And he's going to torture him until he says there are 5 lights when there's only 4. He wants to break him down so that he will deny what he knows to be true just to believe something out of fear. And that's pretty much a perfect capsule of what this religion is, this Christianity religion, where you've got to believe something on faith, even though it goes against what your common sense and what the science tells us. You have to believe it, or God's going to send you to hell. He's going to punish you if you don't believe something that you know or should know is not the case. And why anyone would ever want to go down this path, I don't know. But maybe somebody wants to come on and tell us why it's a good idea, why it's good that God did it that way.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so very much, James. And all right, I'm about to send the link into chat, or maybe what I will do is send the link into chat so that once I'm done my opening statement, we can start to introduce everybody else. We will be going trying to get everyone in swiftly so that we can go into open discussion, but we will give everyone their ability to have open statement. And then once the conversation starts, everyone can join and just have their open conversation among their opening statement. And all right, I'm sending that into chat.
Did you ever see that episode, Amy? Were you ever a Trekkie?
I have only seen a few episodes of Star Trek. I like what I've seen, and I want to see more.
I think Netflix used to have it on Netflix, but now it's on Paramount Plus. I think
I've only seen that because of what's it called? Trevor Noah making jokes about it. He's made jokes about Paramount Plus. It's so funny. I love the Plus thing just because of South Park. Everything has to have a plus nowadays. That really only works for the very first thing. But after that,
iPhone Plus.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you would continue to try and use a shtick that is someone else's. But yeah. All right. So before we get everyone in for the open mic. Earth. Thousands or billions of years old. And that is a big difference, isn't it? If a loved one came to you and said, hey, you have $6,000 in your bank account, you would have a slightly different emotion from if they said, hey, you suddenly have $4.5 billion. One buys a vacation on a tropic island. The other buys the island. Such that these two numbers are not in competition.
Or buys Twitter.
Exactly. Science currently states that our solar system is 4.5 billion with a B years old. We know this from a lot of mutually exclusive yet overlapping forms of evidence. Like geologists, when they study plate tectonics, while using a wide variety of dating methodologies. We are able to date rocks in the Earth's crust. We're also able to find rocks from the moon, which have crash landed here. Biologists alone can tell you that we have fossils that are millions of years old. So, when I hear the question, Earth, thousands or billions of years old, it saddens me that there is a main culprit here. Science says the world is 4.5 billion years old. That the universe is 13.7 billion years old. Yet some denominations of religion preach that the world is 6,000 years old. These are not two competing hypotheses. One is a framework of facts. The other has talking snakes. I'll let you figure out which is which. Thank you. And all
Why
right.
would you want 4 billion years when you could have 6,000 years?
I don't understand how you get anything with 6,000 years. I don't understand how you get a star system. There is no logistics beyond God did it.
Well,
and the book said
I think why they
nothing.
focus on it so much is because if the world is 6,000 years old, that's clearly not anywhere near enough time for evolution to happen. So if they can get it to 6,000 years, then you'd have to accept special creation, because there's no mechanism that would allow evolution to work anywhere near that rapid of a time scale. So by default, they win. Of course, they lose because all their evidence is for young Earth are bad, really, 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 really bad. They're a joke in terms of like.
And it's what happens when you start with the conclusion
and try to work backwards from it.
But we have a lot of people behind stage, so I want to get us all in and then into the open
All in.
discussion. All in, baby. So my thoughts are to just say when you're done, so we can scoop you up and have you talk in the open dialogue. We welcome you all to this midnight ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I am sending a lot of love, and we are midnight ranting.
Get your bat, Amy.
Yeah, my bad.
He wants the mafia boss bat.
Woohoo! What is up, Randolph Richardson? Sending
Hey,
love.
Randolph.
We are midnight ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. Hope you had a nice day, night, something. And what are your thoughts about the debate or the topic itself?
Okay, for the topic, as Carl Sagan was fond of saying, billions and billions. So over 4 billion years old is the camp that I'm in. All the scientific dating methods used to confirm that seem reliable, predictable, reproducible. I don't see any reason to doubt them. Unless something new comes along and somebody wins a Nobel Prize for turning it all on its head, I think I'll go with science on this. That's where I'm at.
Woohoo! Thank
Thanks,
you so very much, Randolph.
Big surprise
Lovely
there,
to have
right,
you
Amy?
on. Exactly.
Randolph
Well,
going
the
with the science.
godfather of atheism. And you can find him at youtube.com, Randolph Richardson. That's Randolph with OLF, even when the spell check says otherwise. Send it love, Randolph. Hang around for the open discussion.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, James. Thanks, Amy.
Woohoo! And all right. Mark, what is up? We are having some fun. In fact, some would even say we're midnight ranting on whether the Earth is thousands or billions of years old. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or tacos, which is generally what we all.
Well, I feel like tacos is out of my wheelhouse, but I'll comment on everything else because I feel like I want. Well, it's not midnight here, but I'll pretend it is to feel included with everybody. So it's just really bright here. What a debate! What a weird one. The first thing that occurred to me was after the introductions ended, it was like this is like a fight between Mike Tyson and a kindergarten kid. Like you've got a nuclear engineer. I'm sorry, I was about to say physicist. He was a nuclear engineer in Jordan, and a
also just to be topical, Mike Tyson and the man that was on the plane. But continue.
Okay. Man that was on the plane.
I'm fairly sure, wasn't it Mike Tyson? Someone got into an altercation with a professional fighter on a plane, and they were being rude to a professional fighter, and they thought that would end well. And so my suggestion to that person would be to rethink everything.
Well, I think it was worse than that because they didn't seem to have sort of some of the things that were being talked about. Howard in particular had no idea of some of the terms that were being used. Like he didn't know what special pleading was. He had no idea about how radiometric dating even worked and some of the terms that were being given. It was just really, really fundamentally didn't have a clue what they were talking about. So it was real, the disparity between knowledge in this, and I got to say, always love Erica. She's amazing. Always so patient. A lot more patience than I have. I'll happily admit that. Just very, very patient, very understanding.
Very pleasant, patient.
Well, she's an excellent science communicator. She gets across her points, and as she says, she rips through them because she's aware of the time constraints, but she really tries to explain them in the simplest way possible so people can understand them. Jordan, I found him awesome. I didn't know what was up with that bow tie. It was so out of place, but, apart from that distracting me, he was great. Perfect, accompaniment to Erica. I think they did fantastic. He went to radiometric dating, a lot of the nuts and bolts, and I actually really enjoyed that, sort of the way he went through exactly how they do radiometric dating. Being a nuclear engineer, he would have a lot of experience with that kind of thing. But Erica just expounded on that and also included into the fold things like tree rings matches up exactly, ice cores match up exactly. When we use these techniques on things that we already know the age of, we come up with the right answer. And so through testing, we can sort of say, hey, our radiometric things work because they keep coming up with the right answer. For the opposite side, Ben's what I find him pleasant. I think he sort of acknowledges not everybody believes the same thing he does, and he gives his perspective, from a religious standpoint. And he did really want to talk about that religious standpoint, the assumption that everything is created to begin with, which, it's sort of, as Erica pointed out, if everything was created to look old, and that was the special pleading part, if everything was created to look old, then there's no way we can possibly determine that using science. So she sort of said, well, I'm bowing out at that point because you can't use science to tell. But I think to Ben's credit, he did acknowledge that it was special pleading, that, hey, if I can say God made it look like this, it is a form of special pleading. He said that some of the things weren't, but there was some of it. And that's to his credit. At least he did admit that.
Right.
The real loose wheel and the one that flew off and down the street, causing havoc as it went, was Howard. I mean, the opening was bafflingly bizarre. It was basically heart-shaped rocks that we find are fossilized. I don't know what that's literally got to do with the age of the Earth. It doesn't really impact the age at all. Like, he's not saying, hey, we know these hearts are young. He's not saying, hey, this lends credibility to the outcome that the Earth could not have been old. He's just stating this for some reason, and I could not figure out where he was linking it into the age of the Earth. And every chance he got, he was off to the moonlight or flat Earth or curvature or some other just ridiculous thing. I don't know. Like, I cannot envisage anybody that's watching for a intellectual discussion to take him seriously. It was just baffling, in my opinion. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but heart-shaped rocks, I don't know where. Well, it was kind of like that, and to me, he seemed to think that he made sort of airtight arguments, and it was quite frankly just odd. It was odd. He was the odd one. I think if they had somebody else like,
are you sure it wasn't heart shaped? I'm just sending love, all much love out there.
Hearts.
I'm sure. Yeah, heart-shaped box. And it was explained to him this thing about confirmation bias. And again, he's just do it for yourself. And that isn't what science is. It isn't just going out looking at stuff and going, hey, you've got to have a robust and reliable methodology for investigation. And when he was told, hey, we're trying to get bias out of this, he's like, oh, well, there's bias in this. It's like, you've not understood what those. I don't know. I just found it baffling. His entire arguments were just baffling. So, Yeah, and that's what I found of the debate. I mean, I'm more than happy to engage anybody that wants to disagree, but that's sort of what I got out of it. And I, as I said, like Erica and Jordan just absolutely thumped them. I mean, they didn't address why all of the different methodologies, the tree rings, ice cores, radiometric data, they didn't address any of why it was that they all lined up. They didn't address the problem of released energy. If the isotopes are decaying, they would release enough energy to obliterate the planet. They didn't address that. All they basically said is, hey, well, if God can do anything, then it's not a problem. Because if he can do anything, right, he could just do it that way. And that's where the special pleading comes in. It's like, yes, there's all these problems, but I have a special thing that I'm going to say in this special case, the laws of nature as we're applying them don't apply, and that God could do this special thing to work around it. And at least, as I said, to Ben's credit, he did acknowledge that. But to me, that's not enough to convince me that their argument is compelling in any way. I think that you can't really argue against that, but you don't really have to, because it's sort of a baseless claim. It's like, well, yeah, I'll believe that God did that when we have some evidence of God doing that. If you don't want to present evidence of God doing that, and I see no reason to believe he did.
Would be nice, right?
Well, sure, but if you're going to say, hey, that's beyond the purview of you gathering evidence, there's nothing I can do from that point. Like Erica said, that's beyond the realms of science. If you do have a methodology that we can show is reliable, something other than, if science can't investigate it, something other than science that you can demonstrate is reliable to demonstrate that, then so be it. But then you're 2 steps back, because you've got to come up with a methodology that's reliable and can also show God, and then you've got to use it to show God. So it's a long ask, and I didn't find Howard and Ben at all convincing. It was very unconvincing.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so very much, Mark.
It's really good to be back. I missed every one of you, and thank you so much for having me on. It's going to be a blast. I will.
Good to have you back, Mark.
It's always a pleasure
to have you.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, Randolph, it's good to see you, man. Your mustache is looking as charming as ever. I'm so jealous. It's a wonderful thing. Don't ever.
All right. Thank you both.
Your head mark is looking as shiny as ever. It's looking really good.
Keep doing that, and I have to stand up with no pants on. Watch out.
And all right, we got 3 more, and then we're going into open discussion. I think someone who may disagree with us, and that is what we really look for, ladies and gentlemen, as well. You know, people that disagree with us, we love them too as well.
We were talking Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris earlier, but maybe we'll let him focus on other topics.
Oh my! But we're also open to that. Well, anytime that Chuck Norris, I'm open. But yes, unless.
There's one important fact: Chuck Norris will never beat Bruce Lee in a fight.
That is. Oh, I'm now open to just seeing that fight. But I guess that can't happen anymore. Well, yeah. You have to be resurrected. But we're sending love, Randolph, and
Nick Suter just came into the chat, guys.
Woo-hoo.
Hello.
What is up, Nick?
Hi, Nick.
So what's going on?
Eloy, what is up? We are saying hi and hello. We are Midnight Ranting on the Earth, thousands or billions of years old. What are your thoughts?
So I don't know why all you people out there, and a few of you folks here in this get together here, and in the aggregate, are so darn sort of confused about the issue when you get a debate about whether the old is a certain age, and you bring on, and I'm talking about the earlier debate in the previous in modern day debates, you bring on scientist minded people and pit them against religious minded people, you're going to, if you were to go to Las Vegas and throw down some money, kind of figure where folks are going to lean towards. And at the end of the day, walking away from the show, you're going to see that people respectively return to their side of the ring, um, not changed one bit. Because what's happening here, and again, this is not good like last time, this is not good for debates, but it's more realistic of the human condition, where you have this subject, and the religious person is out of reach for the scientific observation, unless you're going to some sort of textbook reading, and looking at populations in the Middle East and then beyond in Europe, in order to sort of like, qualify a certain civilization and the tools that they used, writing and so on and so forth, archaeology. So, and linguistics and so on. So there's all these things, but it's kind of out of the when you're going into, radiocarbon, and the scientist is strong, generally speaking, because there's novice and then there's expert and there's everything in between, and there's people that are simply, scientifically minded, that lean that way because it's culturally appropriate to them according to what they grew up with. And then you have the other thing, and then you have a mixture of all the above. And the religious person can accept many things that are apparent and scientifically solid and sound, but then there's these crossover sections where it becomes a problem. And so therein lies this huge issue. As far as the age of the Earth is concerned, and by the way, I am not an atheist, so just throw it out there. I think it's I don't think that it's a ridiculous position to hold. I think it's your personal decision to hold, and it makes no difference to me, really. Whatever the heck you believe on it, unless you're holding a gun to my head, then we're gonna have to. But what you do with your life, go right ahead. What the heck does it matter to me? Matters nothing to me that you decide to. At best, if you're a friend, and I believe that there's something good that I can share with you, I will, whether you accept it or not. That's your decision, and vice versa. So I don't see where the mystery is here. Now, with the specific issue of the age, well, there's this new field. It's not necessarily new, but it's pretty new, and it's the field of archaeogenetics, paleogenetics. It's archaic, the digging up of remains across the world. And what ends up happening is that they extract DNA, and they liquefy it and turn it into something where they can extract the DNA from it. And then what they do is they go ahead, and you've seen this with all these genetic testing companies. Some of them do recent genetic history for people, and some go way beyond into the distant past, and they'll pit your genetic makeup with ancient bones of the past. And what's interesting is, and they're found all throughout Europe, all throughout the world, and you'll get results with certain companies where you can actually see where within the segments of DNA, you can actually see where your series of letters, genetic letters, align with said ancient remain of this human, wherever, Croatia to the British Isles and beyond. And so you could see a continuity there, or a passing on of genes. The key for me saying this is all in the world of genetics. The key for me saying this is that they also have a timeline attached to these bones according to archaeological reckoning and according to the genetic markers. And so they have a timeline plotted out that well goes over the established the 6,000 year situation, right? Which bodes well for the scientific person that's hard up to crush the Christian believer, let's say, or whatever. And by the way, why not a show where it's instead of and Christianity is dumb, you could say how about Judaism or Islam, or it's always Christianity for some reason, because it's a sore point in the West, and there's a battle with that, psychological, political, on many levels. So there's all sorts of things coming into this. But long story short, to sort of wrap up my bit, it doesn't match with the reckoning of what the Christian, the 6,000 year. But within the Christian world, as I mentioned that one time that I was here a few days ago or a week ago, there's a whole world of Christians that don't fall into don't fall into one specific ideology on every point across the board. And likewise, scientists as well will fight over dates and so on and so forth. I'm not suggesting that tossing the date to billions of years is not accepted by so many scientists. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is that it's a continuous evolution of thought, idea, testing, experiment, conversation. So, long story short, I think that there's no battle that can happen properly other than the ego battle. And there's a religious aspect to the people that are in the science field that want to liberate the religious shackles that these people are oppressed under, because surely they are indoctrinated to such a degree that they need this liberation. But I see it as two priests with different from two different on that level. Not that all scientists are within the priest category, but there are priests and priestesses within the leaning towards as well, because they want to incorporate new pilgrims into their world belief. Why? To liberate them? No, I think there's other reasons involved within the great scope of things, and that includes psychology, philosophical, issues with what they can and can't do, how they want society, ego. So it's a bigger picture. But as far as the reckoning of the timeline in that field of paleogenetics, they have this timeline going further back. But are they right, or is that their interpretation of it? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but they have those numbers. Do I reject it? No. I look at it. I know it's there, and let us continue on the journey. But this exaggeration of pitting the two groups together to that degree, I think it's a little bit too much. You know what? Christianity, it also serves as a social function. People believe it. Leave them alone. We'll leave the atheist alone, and we'll all be happy and joyful. I'm not going to go ahead and force you to do anything. So that's my bit.
And we're not going to force anybody either. We're just putting our views out there. And I know many of us used to be theists, and at one point we were amenable to these type of arguments we heard tonight, but now we think something different. So I think there is value in having these discussions, and sometimes people do change their mind,
Sometimes in the aggregate, I'll just add this last bit.
All right, wrap it up, and then we'll get Beamsy on.
Well, I mean, I think...
Go ahead.
I'll just mention this. I think that throughout the long sort of view of time, an idea, because we all come packaged with the Christianity or like religions within that world and others. We all come packaged with that, with a long history, whether we like it or not, coming through to the present, psychologically, the way we structure our culture and everything that exists. That is a truism. I think that through the long lens of time, as we progress through, things change where the science can influence in that view, in that long lens. Sometimes it's a bit more abrasive, but you do not get instantaneous change from, let's say, our conversation today here. It's a little piece, a little drop in the evolution of human society, how they interact with each other, how philosophy occurs. So that's the importance that I place on my contribution to this discussion. And in general, We are little pieces within a greater ocean of many ideas flowing. And as important as I wish that I was, I observe that people have this tendency to think, well, I am this all-knowing thing. Not you guys, but I'm saying that there's a general feeling of, we all view it from our point of view. Long story short, it's a slow process. People do advance and learn and gather more information and become better, sometimes worse. It's part of the human experience. That's it.
Sorry, what was your name? I do apologize.
My name is Eloy. Eloy.
Eloy.
Hi,
Thank
Eloy.
you.
And thank
I'd love
you
to
so
talk to you about
very much, Eloy. In fact, stick around for the open conversation.
Okay.
And all right, we are going to keep on moving down. Beamsy, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts about tonight's debate or the subject itself?
Oh, I didn't get the taco offer. Never mind.
Oh, okay. You can have Taco Tuesday too.
Oh no, it's the fairy
Vegemite
taco
Tuesday
time.
if you prefer.
Well, it is Thursday, but on this podcast, it's always Taco Tuesday. Or
Maybe
Pizza
the
Day.
later we
Back to
can hear
keeping it on
from
topic.
we can hear from Hume. I know somebody's waiting to come in and talk about Hume. So thank you. Oh, he's back there. All right.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
Yep, back to keeping it on topic. The aspect of what I saw from the debate, it was more just an argument of definition. Because when you have a scientific discussion, you have to accept the four basic assumptions. You've probably heard me say these before, but I might as well give you a clear definition of what they are.
Go ahead.
The first assumption is that we can know something. The second basal assumption, there are natural causes for things that happen in the world around us. The third assumption is evidence from the natural world can be used to learn about those causes. And the fourth, there is consistency in the causes that operates in the natural world. Everything within those four assumptions is what is referred to as reality, because using those basal assumptions is what has allowed us to progress to the point we have technologically. And it has no bearing on a sociological or psychological aspects. That's where Eloy was very, very wrong with his statements. It is entirely an aspect of knowledge. Because outside of those four basal assumptions, the universe could have been created yesterday by an all-powerful being as it exists now, and all of our memories intact. And that is a possibility. It's very unlikely, but because it falls outside of the basal assumptions, it falls outside of reality.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Beamsy.
Thanks, Beamsy.
And all right,
Great
stick around
intro,
for
biblically
the open
speaking.
conversation because I think it's going to get spicy, and it's good to have you on board, Beamsy. Or just a good conversation, because I say spicy, but as James knows, I just want to say he who controls the spice controls the universe.
I can swap to the other account if you really want it spicy.
Oh my, Mutt Movin?
No,
Well,
not that spicy.
Not that spicy. Okay, well, I have to say, because apparently Randolph wanted me to said it before he came on, I will say that I did know that he is no more, but I didn't know Bruce Lee that well, except for the interpretation that I heard was very controversial, which was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I'm interested really just in what someone who liked him has on that, but that is basically off topic. But there we go. Sending love to Randolph Richardson and sending love. All right, we're bringing Brett and then Nick, and then we are going into open dialogue. But Brett Keene, what is on? What is up? I hope you are doing well. We are Midnight Ranting on the Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope You are doing fantastic. And what is your thoughts on the debate, the topic, or anything that we've been talking about tonight?
So Brett, we just let people go based on the order they come in. So we just go in that
And
order.
I did also post the order, so
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, as far as I'm concerned, whenever it comes to the Earth, I am what you referred to as an old Earther. I have no problem speculating that it's 4.5 billion years old. In fact, it could possibly be even more. Me and my friend Adam, who is an atheist, we talk about this quite a bit. We also speculate, is the Big Bang the actual theory to go with? Is the universe even older than what science is claiming? So I've got no issue with that, but I did hear a guy talking, and he said something to the effect of, there's a scientific minds, and then there's a separation of the religious minds, and I find that unusual because it was Christians who came up with quantum physics, the Big Bang theory, evolution. Darwin himself said in his own books that he believed in God, so just because there's a couple friends groups out there that have weird ideas or they feel the desire to question science, I don't see how that makes Christianity as a whole or generalized to be, just a bunch of dummies who don't understand science. A majority of scientists throughout time have been believers in God. So I don't get that. I kind of feel like there's a bit of insulting sometimes going on in there, but I'll listen. I'm
also
open-minded.
I do want to say both Eloy and Beamsy are theists. They're just different types of theists.
All right, fair enough. And as far as Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris goes, Bruce Lee only had one real fight that has ever been recorded, and he was injured terribly. As far as movies go, he was the Dragon. Loved him. Loved his son Brandon as well. Hope that clears it up on the Bruce Lee argument.
I was only being facetious with all of this, and we had a lot of fun, you and I, in the chat. So thank you for that.
It's all good.
Oh, thank you so much, Brett, for
Thank you, Brett.
coming on, and stick around. We only have one more person left to get into open conversation.
Sounds good to me. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, Amy.
Woohoo! That's right, and you should
The
also
pleasure
check
is
out
all on
Brett
this
Keen's
side.
channel at youtube.com/Brett Keen. And all right, we are adding in Nick. What is up? We did already hear shots fired from James, but we're gonna.
He fired the first shots on that one.
Oh
Yeah, I
my!
did, to be fair.
You're a work human somewhere. You watch. You just watch.
Yeah, no. Well, I was going to go with the Munchausen trilemma, but the 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I like and I'm sorry, I don't know the names yet, but one of them, somebody who was speaking earlier was talking. I think sort of the way I'd frame what he was saying was that
Eloy. That was probably Eloy.
Eloy, I think you're correct. Thank you. There's essentially we all think that at some point we're going to come up with the argument that's going to change everybody's minds, but people build their worldviews so differently than we do that there's no real way to do that. All that we have is this tug of war over an Overton window, and enough people get on sort of one side of the rope that the Overton window starts to move in that direction, whether that's towards scientific disciplines, artistic disciplines, or spiritual disciplines. There's always this tug of war and multiple Overton windows kind of moving around. I think that I think it's a fair point. I think it does bear noting. Of course, Lemaitre was both a Catholic priest and the physicist who had to explain the Big Bang to Einstein because Einstein didn't believe it, even though it solved all of Einstein's problems. So all that aside, you have a problem. We talk a lot about solipsism, and I think the issue is what people sit there and say, how can anyone take solipsism seriously? You have to take it immensely seriously when you're talking about knowledge, because you end up with Hume, you end up with the Munchausen trilemma. At some point, you're going to have to start making assumptions. You can't, whether that assumption is that other minds exist, whatever that is, you're going to have to start making assumptions. And if those assumptions aren't any more or less justifiable than any others. And this,
Get it, ladies and gentlemen, you can cross off bingo. No, you can keep going.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Okay. So I think, and I'm probably going to do a lot of rambling. This is why I'm on a midnight ranting. It's going to be ranting and
I was
rambling.
going to say, you're allowed to midnight rants all you want.
Why do you think I'm here? No one else is. I'm trying to, like, pestering my wife, like, I want to talk philosophy, and she's just like, go away, call Amy. I was like, that's a good idea. So at any rate, I think the problem is when people's assumptions are entrenched in spirituality and are entrenched in this idea that there is a metaphysical universe, it becomes very hard to dislodge from that. And in many cases, it's not necessarily a problem. It's only a problem when they start denying facts that cause injury to other people on the assumption of some kind of metaphysical reality that's going to justify it. But all that notwithstanding, I understand very easily how and why, if you're a young Earth creationist, all the evidence goes in that direction. I mean, it's just it's very silly for people who sort of moved out from that. But if you're willing to take all of those base assumptions upon which we build knowledge and set them in that direction as your starting point, it's immensely difficult to dislodge, and with reasons. So, anyways, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
So we have a question coming in.
Are you a polysolipsist or am I a monosolipsist? I'm a masochist. That's why I invent people like you, Randolph. Yeah. Good to see you.
I love you. Can we please avoid hard solipsism? Like, we're talking about did you see the debate?
I did not.
Well, the joke is always, if they go to hard solipsism, someone has generally, that's why the pre-suppers, all of this, but we want them to come on board and say hi.
I'm wondering
right down there.
I'm wondering if Mark phrased that correctly. Should he have been asking I instead of we for that hard solipsism?
Well, yeah.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually the deck that we have tonight, but feel free to join the conversation as we have it linked in chat, or to keep on tagging your comments to James W. or myself at Amy Newman, so that helps us see it. Ha ha ha. We are having some open conversation. That's right. We are, in fact, midnight ranting on Earth. Is it thousands or billions of years old?
I'll kick off. I'm happy to. I actually find myself agreeing with Brett that being scientific and a theist are not mutually exclusive things. I think that more what Eloy might have been trying to infer is people that hold their dogma position over scientific basis, because being an old Earth in no way falsifies a god in it. It just doesn't.
Could I interject for just half a second?
Of course.
Yes. I just wanted. So yes, what you're saying, the gentleman, he read something different out of it. You've clarified it. I'm not suggesting that there's just this and then there's just that. So just to clarify that point, I was just using the extremes that we see in everybody's on either side of the ring. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, that was probably me. I was hearing. Maybe I misheard what you said. It sounded like you're saying that we're all innately having Christianity as part of who we are. Is that what you're referring to?
The bit was where I said that you can't bring. I believe that this is what you can't bring a Christian and a sort of like the Christian model and then the scientific, and then try to debate something that you're basically going to have Christianity as the main focal point for the Christian, and science completely just about for the science. And then although they're not mutually exclusive, you can have scientists that have all sorts of different beliefs within there. So, and vice versa. So I didn't explain it fully, but you guys have just cleared it up, kind of where I was going with that. So,
Well, I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about was this idea of the scientists trying to sort of convince these people out of a sense of ego or a sense of pushing. From what it sounded like, you're inferring they kind of push the culture on them. As far as I know, and from my experience of working with scientists, they generally don't have a lot of ego invested in the game, and it's more just they want to demonstrate the truths of reality. They want to find out, and so when somebody sort of says this is a fact which does not align with their understanding of reality, they present the scientific methodology in order to sort of demonstrate that their perspective on reality. I think the reason why it does get pushed a lot in school and things like that is because it's just been so effective. Science has sort of given us so many things, it's ridiculous, like including what we're talking on right now, our phones, the planes, motor vehicle, everything you can name. And I don't think that's the fault of science that it is so effective.
let me clear myself up with that as well. So, or what my intention was.
Yeah, sure,
So,
sure.
so generally speaking, you're going to think of scientists as just in a very, I guess, sterile scenario in a lab, and they're doing the job that they need to do, pushing to the side as much as possible, whatever bias and whatever. Okay, but what I was referring to,
Yeah.
what I was referring to, is that within the world of science, just broadly, right? Just broadly, science.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
very popular thing. Science on the level of kids and Sunday afternoon, shows on TV, and people, the left, for instance, they pit. There's this sort of thing where the left, they hold on to science in order to negate Christianity because of its incursion into daily life and society. There's all these things happening. But what I was suggesting by saying what I did with the bias in particular is that in the realm of these debates, for a person that's, let's say, scientifically minded, for lack of a better, just to have a descriptor, and they're pitting themselves up against someone that's in the field of like religion for the most part, or generally that's what they're. So you have these two things. So both of them, to me, are entering the ring of sort of, it's a debate and it's legitimate, but it's sort of like, to a degree, kind of like two priests fighting over things, because in my, I don't see how Christians are going to walk away no matter what you explain and say, well, you know what, forget that. I don't see that, because there's so many other things tugging at their reality, and vice versa. So I see it as just an exercise that's useful, but at the end of the day, a Christian understands, roughly speaking, that there's a world out there called science, but they're not buying certain parts of it, and vice versa. The scientist knows that there's Christianity, but they're not buying the spiritual, import of it. They might think, oh well, there's a document, oh there's an archaeological, site, but they're not buying into what both of them want each other to buy into. In other words, it nullifies itself at the end of the day. You might consider, being scientifically minded, that the other group is completely whacked out of their head, and vice versa, and not vice versa with
Not
the
completely,
Christian,
just mostly.
with the Christian bit. Just to end this part with the Christian, from the Christian perspective, I don't know exactly what they're doing, trying to enter the ring, and I agree with what the other gentleman said, that it's not mutually exclusive, that many Christians throughout history have had many discoveries. I mean, plethora of discoveries. But in today's world, there seems to be a religious, political sort of, there's other things other than just the what we're discussing going on at the same time. So that's what I was trying to get at without being too judgmental. But that's kind of what I was getting at. There's no solution.
Well, I
I'm
think
also just going to add, I guess, as Mark's explaining, I'm going to sneak, very sneakily, Leophilius and Pat, and that's going to be our full deck of cards tonight. So, ma-na-ma-na-ma.
Yeah, that'll be a full house.
Welcome, Leophilius. Woohoo!
Hey, Leo.
Howdy.
And then, as
Hey,
we're
Leo.
welcoming him in,
Amy, if somebody else wants to come in, I'll gladly step aside when they want to talk. It's not a problem.
Hey, Pat.
that's okay. And what is up,
Uh,
Pat? Welcome.
Or did we lose? I think we lost Beamsy.
yeah, we did.
Well, he might have had a connection problem. I'm not sure. He might just be back in a second. But yes, welcome, Pat. Welcome, Leophilius. Welcome, everyone. Continue. It looked like Mark was about to say something.
Yeah. So the idea that sort of in debate people can't change their minds or people won't change their minds, I think it's sort of a vast generalization, and I'd say for the most part you may be right. There might be an individual that does change some portion of their mind or lean towards, as Nick talked about, you have that sort of window that's a push and pull. Someone might move from there to there, and then sort of, as they go through their life, we don't know exactly, the timeline that's going to affect people, and you can't really trace it out. But I think it's sort of reductive to say, hey, nobody's ever going to change their mind, because people do change their minds. There have been people that have been atheists that have, been saved and seen the light and become Christian. There's people who are Christian that have deconverted and become atheists. I think what we can do is put the ideas out there and discuss them, and then people can judge for themselves over what they want to believe. The idea that scientists are religious, I think, it would not fit my definition of religion at all. There's no dogma in science. In fact, everything is supposed to be challenged. Unlike religion, where it's sort of it sounds like a harsh word. You are indoctrinated. You are given the doctrine that you are to believe, and I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. It's just what happens.
No, I understand completely. I understand completely.
So if
I
I could just finish.
No, I understand.
So
I'm following.
We'll just let him finish.
In science, they're supposed to question what they are given. You are supposed to not believe what you're given and challenge it to see whether it is true for yourself by replicating experiments, designing new experiments with solid methodology. You are supposed to push back against these things, and in that way it's the opposite of religion. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll just say this last bit. So listen, again, I did explain that through the long process of time, early on in that little speech at the beginning or whatever, that things people do change. Yes, there could be changes, but for the most part, it's a long process for society shifts to occur with these big questions. But you have staples such as Christianity that have been around for millennia, and it's sort of a very tough one to crack. And as far as
been around longer.
As far as people, the scientist. Boy, you just lost my. Go ahead. You lost. I totally. You know what? My train went like this off the tracks.
Oh goodness!
Hit me up, Eloy. If it comes back to you, do hit me up. And I agree. Christianity is a very ingrained part of our culture. It has been for a while. But I would point out that there's been a lot of religions before Christianity that had been around for a long time that probably thought they were never going away either. So I don't know what. I just find a disconnect, if that's the right word. I guess it sounds a bit harsh. I don't mean it like that. From what people are believing and the facts they're presenting about reality. That's the disconnect that I find.
No, but the bit is this. The bit is this. You are aware in today's world, and for a little while before, there exists this thing called Christianity, which falls in the category of religion and all this and that. You're quite aware. We're all aware, and you're aware that many people believe it. And it's been around, and so here's the thing: you can't work that with just a solid. You can't allow that into your life with just a solid, straight up analyzing every. For instance, you do not. I would assume, and I could be wrong. You correct me. I don't know that every movement in your waking day you are actively making judgment calls on reason and evidence for every single thought process, movement, the process of psychology that's on the subconscious. There's a whole world. Now, that's not for me to excuse the world of religion. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that occur in the lifespan of a human being, and there are these iconic structures that are in part of our society. Totally get it. But you can't. You not everybody's going to be a scientist straight up. They're going to have belief systems on there's a sliding scale to everything, and there's what you would consider maybe unreasonable is going to exist in probably just about every single human being on earth. And those unreasonable parts, all we can do with them is, as long as they follow the standards that we have accepted as groups and societies, such as don't stab someone to death in the corner of a 7-Eleven because you want their wallet, and so on and so forth. So we deal with humans
specific.
on that level. We try to work it out and allow others to do as they choose. Is it unreasonable in your belief system or in your science? It probably is, and unreasonableness will always be with us, and I accept it.
You're asking a question, which means it implies someone has to answer. So we'll have an answer, but after the answer, Brett wants to say something, and then we have another Pat to get in. So we are.
I'll just quickly say one word about that, and then I'll bow out. I don't think it's unreasonable. Like, if you want to believe in God, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I think that you're sort of going, well, I don't want you to have these thoughts or believe what you believe, and that's not true. You can believe whatever you're entitled to. When somebody makes a declaration of fact of reality, that's when the scientific people step forward and say, hey, that isn't the reality we observe in science, and that's coming from sort of an empirical point of view. So, but aside from that, your beliefs you're perfectly entitled to them. I don't believe the same thing, but that's okay. People have different beliefs. You know, I don't think that I'm saying, hey, your belief in God is unreasonable. I don't think it's specifically rational, as in it can't be demonstrated with science. It can't be backed up by evidence, kind of thing, or at least not to my knowledge. But that doesn't mean I say you have no right to that belief. You have a right to your beliefs. That's just the way it is.
Can I ask Eloy a quick question? Really quick. It doesn't press anywhere. Just for clarification, for my sake.
Okay, I just say though that does imply it's you then a response. But then okay, if it's quick.
Leo hasn't said anything yet.
So Eloy, when you say unreasonable, what particularly do you mean by that?
Unreasonable in what context did I use unreasonable my thinking, right? So can you clarify that, because I said unreasonable a few times.
I don't know how
if you're saying
one defines reasonable quickly, but go ahead.
So from the perspective of someone else that is based in science,
I feel bad. Can I interrupt? Because I feel like I did say Brett could go next, and I think that's why he left.
We'll get back to this. The reasonability question. What is reasonable?
Can I say this before I forget, or just leave it alone then?
Well, it's just
okay. Yeah.
Well, he did.
I'll forget it. So it doesn't matter.
It's chaos already.
Send in love. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna add in Pat. We're gonna get Pat. I will say that Brett, if you come back on, I want to hear your. We want to get everyone's comments, and
it's hard with a full.
I am trying. I'm just juggling. But yeah, Pat from Squatch Talk, what is up? I hope you are doing well. We are Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. Hope you are having a fantastic night. And what are your thoughts about the debate or the topic?
Well, clearly, the Earth has been around for 10,000 years. Like, I mean, that's undeniable, right?
Like, if we're taking that as the base minimum, that there's no possible way the Earth could have been around for anything shorter than 10,000 years, I would agree with you. If we're saying that's the maximum, then that is very much a not true thing to say.
Yeah. Dude, it was a joke. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the guy Ben did say he gave it up to 60,000, basically, which is still.
It's a very strange number. Why 60? Why not like 62,394? Like, I don't. Where's their cutoff point, and how did they determine it? That's
the
what I
Bible
wanna
likes
know.
round numbers. It doesn't like.
I don't think they're giving a
uneven
methodology, Leo. I don't know why. It just, I don't know where they got that number from.
By the way, to the path that just entered, I'm sorry that I missed your joke. I'm autistic, and sometimes they fly so far over my head that I don't think the world's greatest astrophysicists could see them with the best telescopes that we have.
Dude, it's okay, man. Like, what I said was clearly the Earth has been around for the past 10,000 years. So,
Yeah,
and much longer.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
So is that what's interesting about this discussion is, I mean, obviously, there's a good, like, intelligent group of people here, and there could be others that join. Is the Earth thousands of years old, or is it billions? Clearly, we know that answer. Like, you and I, we all know that answer.
We all know that answer.
Yes, just like the flat Earth thing. Like, there's no reason. Oh, the Earth looks flat. Well, so what? Like, it's not. What's interesting about this discussion to me is that it's evolved into a different discussion, and that's why it piqued my interest to kind of join in. It's like, again, yeah, I'm not here to say the Earth is 10,000 years old. Clearly, it's not. But talking about science, that's interesting, and how it relates to cherished beliefs. So you have cherished beliefs and you have science. Science is what? The understanding of the world, right? And cherished beliefs is how I want to see the world. And I think that's an interesting discussion that you guys, you all of you have.
Send him love, Nick.
Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting discussion. It becomes cherished beliefs versus science, the understanding of the world. And I think that's a wonderful discussion to have. Again, clearly, the Earth is not thousands of years old, unless we're living in some kind of simulation that we can't understand. We're all oblivious to it.
No, not the hard solipsism again, please.
Oh, I don't think
everybody likes
solipsism is that hard to object to. Or I should say, I don't think solipsism is that meaningful an objection if one takes to like content externalism or something like that. Just throwing that out there.
There's people currently working or that have been on.
By the way, just quickly for House of Comments in the comment section, no, I'm not scientistic. I don't hold to scientism.
There's folks that are on the journey of sort of figuring out the dates of the pyramids, and there's a standard dating system that the Egyptologists have, and then there's other folks that go over and have figured, well, there's erosion, and because of this, we're going to have to push this further back, and so on. And there's always a play on these numbers, but they're roughly all they're messing about with numbers, give or take thousands of years, sometimes tens of thousands of years with these sites. But they're still within that range as far as the leading voices out there. So that's something that we see, and we're not going to go ahead and turn around and say, well, no. I mean, we could, and go and turn around and say, well, no, they can't be. They're 2,000 years old, or whatever the case might be, or what. So there is scientific progress in many fields, and it's recognized. I recognize it, and many people, millions of people recognize it. It's only the extreme situations where you get these this pitting of religion with science, and I find it just simply high priests and priestess trying to convert people, and the process is sort of like a game show. It's important, but there's multi-layered reasoning behind these things, and I see it as also a game show. I see it as important for the social conversation and the intellect and people learning new things and thinking about problems that they. So I see all that, but I just science and religion. I mean, that's it's ridiculous. You can't.
Well, they're both.
I think I interrupted your introduction. I really do apologize. Please go.
Forgive me.
No, science science and religion are both kind of based on the same thing, is to understand the world you live in. They're, from two different points of view. I say science is the right point of view. Religion, again, faith-based. So religion is what you believe. It's not what you learned as a truth. Religion is belief. It's faith-based. Right? So that's why this whole, how old is the earth it is kind of silly. It's not really a debate. It's low-hanging fruit. It's not a debate.
Well, but they want to talk about it. They want to have.
There's
few
belief too in science, isn't there? I mean, I would say that there's belief in science as well. I guess I would say that belief is a much more. It's very broad and overarching, and that
yes, there are beliefs.
I don't know what it would mean. I don't know what it would mean.
I mean, I don't want to
just not have beliefs about.
I mean, I don't want to get into the minutia of the nomenclature of belief, but like faith, like belief as in faith, right? So maybe somebody has faith in their scientific theory. They believe, like, I just know this scientific theory is right. Like, I get that. But that's still a very kind of scientific method way to go through it. They think it, and therefore they go to prove it. They know there's a method to prove it.
Well, it also depends on your definition of faith.
I could believe in the flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, you
same
could.
thing,
Yeah, it is. Belief. All belief means is something that you take to be the case. So to say that you believe X is just to say that you think X is true. You could fill X with anything. I could say I believe that the sun emits electromagnetic radiation. That happens to be a belief that not only I believe, but I am justified in believing and is actually true. It's knowledge. I know that the sun emits electromagnetic radiation. So belief isn't like this scary word that like just religious people do. Everybody has beliefs about everything.
All right. I believe the sun is God.
Yeah, and that has been very prominent throughout
Okay,
much of human history. I think.
We just demonstrated that both things are beliefs.
Well, yeah.
But only one of them is true.
Let
Only
me
one
inject-
of them.
let me inject a drop.
Beliefs, and then specifically true beliefs. True beliefs would be more of a subset of just beliefs, and then you would have justified beliefs, and then where true and justified beliefs cross over is where you get justified true beliefs, and that's what knowledge.
Let me inject a droplet, just a little droplet. Yeah. So, if you have a list of items, just pretend for a second, and in order from 1 to 10 of importance, what comprises the list of things that one adheres to, believes, and all this, within this that you guys are saying, if number 1 on your list is the flying spaghetti monster, that's your all-consuming, that's the foundation that you stand on, it's likely that you have huge problems. Maybe not, from my perspective, which is biased. If that flying spaghetti monster is further down on the list, and there's other things that are balanced and sort of like that one can actually concretely share with others, and there's evidence of it, then now there's more of a reasonable person. But we're a combination of this theoretical list from 1 to 10, with 1 being the most important. And since we have all these combinations, it's very hard to have a consensus when it comes to things that work in the world of the spiritual, that you can't sort of like petri dish study. And unfortunately, for the person that's completely more close to the science, just science, and nothing wrong with it, but that they're going to see those other folks as a little bit on the kooky side. But beyond seeing them on the kooky side, so what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible for somebody to be like, irrational in their beliefs. I wasn't saying that like just because you believe something that means that it's like great and everybody should accept it. Like the only point that I was getting at is that I just don't think that we should construe belief as like this thing that you should avoid. Like, oh, you shouldn't have beliefs. That's not what beliefs are. A belief is just something you think is true, or false if you believe that something is false. A belief is just something you take to be the case. Lots of people have lots of beliefs about a variety of things. Some are true, some are not. Some people are justified in some of their beliefs, some are not. And some of the beliefs that we have, we are justified in having, and they are also true. And that's what we would call knowledge. That's oftentimes what people are going to mean when they talk about knowledge. That's the only point I was getting at. I wholeheartedly acknowledge people can have some of the most ridiculous beliefs out there.
I just want to address quickly the flying spaghetti monster thing. It's only like nobody actually believes sincerely in it. It's only used as an analogy, Eloy. No one, like, it's only used as a comparison between a religion where someone says, well, I have a belief in this thing. It can't be proved. It can't be demonstrated. It's outside the purview of science. Somebody could say, hey, here's a comparison with something that is supposed to be absurd. It was actually invented by a guy who was trying to use it as an absurdity for a Muslim who wanted their veil in their driver's license photo. He put a colander on his head and said, hey, I have this religion. Show the absurdity of saying my religion allows me to do a certain thing under a certain set of circumstances. And it's only ever used as an analogy. So it's sort of saying, well, if you want to sort of say, hey, I have this belief that cannot be touched, cannot be validated, cannot be empirically reviewed at all, you could say, hey, I have this flying spaghetti monster or a unicorn, and it would serve the same. It's only a matter of comparison.
They let that guy take the picture, though, didn't they? Didn't they like actually let him?
Yes. Yep.
That's what I thought.
You know what else used to be
even though it's absurd, a colander on your head in your driver's license is absurd. It is patently absurd.
You know what else used to be absurd, to use as an analogy?
What's that?
Is flat Earth. The Earth is flat. That used to be an absurd analogy, and now is not.
I know. Now I'm debating about it.
Right. Yeah. So again, it to me it comes down to science and cherished belief. Cherished beliefs are what they are: conspiracy theories, flat Earth, what have you. Science is to understand the world you live in, to discover a truth, right?
Well, I think science has a responsibility to present what we can empirically find out about the world, even if that does shatter a cherished belief, as you put it. I think that science is very brutal when it comes to those it removes or tries to remove so much bias that it doesn't try to protect anybody's cherished belief. It's almost like somebody with no tact whatsoever, just lay down the facts and you deal with them how you deal with them.
Sure, it's already happened. I mean, the Earth is not the center of the universe, right? The planets don't revolve around the Earth. It's the Earth revolves around the sun. So I mean, throughout history, science has completely destroyed cherished beliefs, and some of those people paid the price in one way or another.
From the
the old school,
that,
old school days, right?
Yeah.
So
Copernic,
I mean, so
Galileo,
it's almost ironic that we're sitting here, and here we are on a modern day platform built on science, and Amy's dying to bring in somebody that thinks the Earth
We
is
are
we are
10,000
about to
bring in
right?
someone who disagrees with us.
We are going to keep on topic, though.
Right
We're
after-
not going to be talking about nuclear submarines tonight, please.
Right after you bring him in, Amy, would it be all right if I made some comments about some things that have been said?
Sure. But we'll give him his intro because, hey, like I said, most important to not only defending the secular community, but we actually want viewpoints that differ from our own. So we want to get people that, we don't like echo chambers. So we are going to bring on Wesley. What is up? We are having fun.
Lord.
We are Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I think I know what your answer is, but
what's Wesley's
tell us.
Break out the potatoes, guys, because the midgets are about to be flying all over the place.
Well, seeing as that I shall be the last person standing alive after a nuclear war does destroy you, and your kinds of thinking and
James
shall
asked for
never
it, but he
exist
couldn't get it.
again, let's listen to you pray.
Thank you, Wesley. Pat, did you want to get in on the conversation? Did you have anything you wanted to bring up, Pat?
Let me listen to what you have to say, and if I have any comments that are as little of vanity as possible, maybe I'll make them. Let me catch in with what's going on with you first, but you all know that I'm going to be the last man standing on this earth.
Absolutely.
Sure, after you defeat the boss. There was something that I did want to say just with regard
I don't know that. I know you claim it. But sorry, Leah, just 1 second. Do you think the Earth is thousands or millions of years old? Just for my own reference.
Just around 6,000 years old.
6,000.
Did you think that the angels that appeared in front of your eyes in the blink of an eye needed to be carbon dated or that to prove that they immediately appeared in your existence?
Sorry.
Or the tooth that Jesus healed in your mouth. How did that happen?
The dentist healed the tooth in my mouth, not Jesus.
Right.
Unless
would you lightly,
Mark, what's your dentist name?
Would you lightly and gently,
I'm not sure.
Jesus, would you please lightly and gently fuck each of those fellas in this minute? They're two. Give them some
gods, you must obey. They're the only gods I am.
Here comes empirical proof.
Well, on the topic of empirical, there were a few comments that I did want to make just with regards to science and the merits of science and how science relates to truth, just because I think it's an interesting topic. So somebody floated the idea that science may be the only, really the only methodology we have for getting at truth. And that's a fair point to make. That's something that was floated around a lot in the early 20th century during what was called the positivist movement, and that would relate to something referred to as scientism, which is the idea that science is either the only or at least the primary way through which truth can be attained. It's not an idea that most philosophers or scientists hold to today, but there are other positions like empiricism, which would state that in order to have knowledge, in order to say that something is knowledge, it has to be received through the empirical senses. It has to be known through empirical methods. That outside of that, you can believe things, but you can't claim that it's knowledge. There's problems with that as well. And then there's also something called verificationism, which would be related to empiricism, but maybe takes it a small step further, which says that well, sure, you can know things through empirical methodology, but you can also know them just through like deductive logical reasoning, or sort of like analytic truth, as it's often called. But outside of those two methods, there wouldn't really be any way to verify something, and that's called
So in
verification.
other words,
So I
if
just wanted to,
I do not prove to you
sorry,
empirically the existence of love, it
Sorry.
doesn't exist.
sorry,
If I can
sorry,
empirically prove love to
Sorry.
you, it doesn't exist. What it is if you need
is there any way we
empirical
could mute him till I
beast.
finish what I'm saying?
Um,
I hadn't finished
Wesley,
what I was
just
saying.
1 second, mate. Just let Leo finish, and we'll get right onto you. Okay? Just
Thank
hold
you.
on for a second.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I was just about done there. Thanks for that, Mark. So I just wanted to kind of, I'm not gonna like, say what my views are. I don't think that's relevant, but I just kind of wanted to throw those out there, just kind of for people to think about the relation that science has to ways in which we can know things. And then just really quickly, the final point, this also relates to what, how one would define knowledge or how one would define truth. And that isn't something that's going to be entirely settled in the literature either.
Okay, go Wesley.
So you need empirical proof that love exists.
Do I need empirical proof? I would say no. One doesn't need empirical proof to think that love is real.
Because only needing empirical proof, the only empirical proof you're going to get.
I'm not an empiricist.
To be forced to be branded with a UPC barcode called the Omni, and the empirical $32,523.
It's 5G type of stuff.
Of cryptocurrency.
Is that what this guy's on right now, or?
Of Google. You'll get a Google money if you get branded.
Well,
$1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion.
Why would they want
But Wesley,
Yeah,
and I know I can see
absolutely.
I can see Pat slowly
going.
the force of academia is like, please don't do this.
Poor Pat.
But Wes, I'm trying to think where I should go with this now that I've actually slowed this. We are talking thousands or billions of years old. I want to ask you again, which do you think is closer?
I think, Jesus, would you show everybody on earth in their minds how you created the heavens and the earth, and show them even all time back to that first day when you said, let there be light, and do that within this minute.
I'm getting the knowledge.
Wait.
Leo's overloaded.
I'm getting the knowledge of Jesus.
That's brain freeze.
Hold on. I just got a message from Jesus. He said it was billions of years old.
You see what's going on? All
It's
of
funny
us.
because he told me the same thing.
There
He said,
you
I
go.
gave you
there's
nuclear.
two.
He said, I gave you radioactive.
No.
You see what's going on all of a sudden?
I do.
The gentleman
I see what's
made
going on, guys.
The gentleman makes a point from the Christian perspective, his perspective, and
His perspective.
it's now being floated into the realm of people that are, maybe not necessarily with that whole religious, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because whatever. So it's not going to work. Whatever you offer
Like
in your mind and your heart to them, they're going to take it and they're going to run it through the meat grinder and get that nice, chili meat, so they can go ahead and they're going to use the methods and tactics and measurements that they use, and they're going to see, well, this is off because this you can't quantify this that you just said, and basically that's where the story ends, and then they're going to go ahead and flip and say, at least in their minds, this guy is whacked out of his head. And so and so that's why I kind of stand where I do, where I get what the process, and I can see what's going on. I see it from 5 blocks away. I have my beliefs. I know that I can't bring it on I can't bring it on the dish and say, hey guys, this is true stuff right here. So it is my personal belief when it comes to religion that ends the problem to one degree, where you're responsible for whatever the heck you want to believe on that 1 to 10 chart that I had mentioned earlier. If you want to put it on number 1, go ahead. But for these folks, they're going to kind of look at you and say, you're kind of whacked. I don't believe that necessarily, Either way, I don't know you, but they're going to take the information that comes out of your mouth and they're going to say, well, you can't quantify that, dude. And so you're not going to be accepted. Your words aren't going to be accepted. It's not going to be processed properly because you're in the world of science and they cut it off at religion. Right dead there.
Okay,
Okay, cool cat.
so I have a question. So Eloy, I'm going to ask you a couple questions and just how old do you think the planet is? I think you said earlier you're kind of an old Earth person, right?
No, I mentioned. Oh, so I'm aware that the official the official stance is that it's old Earth.
That is
I'm not a
weird way of saying it. I'm just going to put that out there. That makes me nervous just from it.
The reason I say the official is that I'm not a scientist.
I have a wide stance.
In order for me to be able to, I'm not a scientist. I'm not suggesting that it's young Earth or old Earth. I don't freaking know. The Bible reckoning from the 18 in the 1800s. See, here's the problem. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not going to negate whether it's old or younger. I'm not going to do none of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ingest all the information and have it sitting there on a shelf and work with it as time goes on. I'm not going to go and sit and put a flag on my mountain and say, hey. I'm not going to do that. Back in the mid 1800s, here in America, we had what we called the Millerite movement, and people were actually sitting down and they were looking at all the generations and figuring out when Christ would return. And they figured on a date, I forget the date now, but it was the Great Disappointment it was called, because when the date came, all these evangelicals of the time saw that Christ did not come at that given time, and people actually committed suicide, people lost their fortunes, people, just a whole bunch of stuff in that era. And from there sprang out a whole series of different religions, because they went and say, oh, the figures are wrong. There's a world beyond the science, which is also the cultural or the humanities, or what would you call it, social studies. There's all these different.
Where are we?
Everything is more complicated.
Like Pat,
we're not in Kansas City.
I really don't want to sound mean, but Pat asked you how old do you think the Earth is, and I think you said that you don't know.
And this
I don't know.
Which is fine. Yeah.
This is the kind of thing. If you don't actually think the Earth is approximately what science, I mean, within a ballpark. I mean,
I don't have a problem with it.
Right.
No,
but it affects your ability to actually engage as a responsible member of society, because it affects things. Well, yes, it does. So let me finish. So when the National Park Service and the National Geologic Society want to start doing predictive models on earthquake and tsunamis and all these other things, you understand that's all the field of geoscience, right? Which is fundamentally based on the old Earth model. So if you don't believe in old Earth model, by the way, you can't do proper seismic activities. I mean, you can, but it becomes kind of, well, actually, you can't. You have to have a fundamental understanding of geosciences to work in these fields. So if we allow the religiously credulous to be in charge, we don't have things like geoscience.
Okay.
Or climate science, which depends
Let
on
me answer that.
the same models.
Let me answer that.
I have a question,
I'm not in
too.
those disciplines. I'm not in those fields. I'm a layman to whatever my interests are.
Which is fine.
You don't have to allow me to do anything. If I rise to the occasion in a certain discipline or certain position that I might hold, it's due to whoever elects me, or because they think that I'm worthy of the position or whatever. But I'm not in that situation. I just said
Fair enough.
that the official number I am aware of, and the official number I'm not opposed to, but I'm not sitting here doing any geologic. I'm not doing any of that. I am aware of it, and I'm aware of the young Earth.
Do you agree?
Item.
Do you
I don't have
agree
a
with
problem
either
with
one?
either or.
But do you? Which one do you think is true?
I don't. Okay, I said earlier. See, this is the thing.
So you just don't take a position on it, is what you're saying?
I don't take a position on it.
Okay, nope, that's fine. I was just wondering.
I don't think it's somewhere to put my flag on that hill and say, "Oh my goodness." To me, it's fine.
I just want to point out the problem, because you've entered into a dichotomy that you're not adhering to either one of the prongs. So you say you're opposed to it and you're aware of what the number that science gives you. Now, the dichotomy is either you believe it or you don't believe it. That's the dichotomy.
No, that's for you. I can do the third option, which is exactly what I'm telling you, and it's like I see both of them. I don't disparage either or. I'm looking at it, and for the spiritual belief, I'm seeing that scenario. See here, we're not going to box anybody.
Technically, both of you are right.
We're not
What
going
Mark
to
is saying is correct. With respect to any proposition, either you do or you don't believe it.
Right. So
we're not gonna box.
But what Eloy is saying is that he takes it with both of those propositions. He takes the I don't believe it. So he does not believe either proposition.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to point out. You don't believe the old Earth model, and you don't believe the new Earth model.
No. Let me explain it clear. So let me explain it clear.
Because
I understand science. Let me explain it clear for half a second.
Well, I was speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
It is a true dichotomy to say you either believe or not believe. That's either A or not A in logic. That is the only two options available, because that is a true dichotomy.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
Try to not believe it and say, well, I don't know. And that's fine. Like, I'm not having a problem with that. But you're sort of inferring that you believe it, but you don't know. And that's contradictory. Because if you don't know, then you wouldn't believe
I got you. So
yeah, sorry.
No, I got you. So here's the thing. So I'm not going to say that I believe in one thing or the other. In the world of science, the official thing is the long view, which I'm okay with. In the world of science, in the world of religion, the spiritual, they say a different thing, but they say many things. To me, it makes no freaking difference if I'm looking at science and the information is laid out to me. I'm gonna go ahead and read that, and I'm gonna study that, and I'm gonna for the most part conclude that it's mostly true as far as we know, scientifically speaking. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not gonna go ahead and say I hang my hat on one thing or the other, because it doesn't make.
Is there a particular reason why you don't choose either one?
Because I think I think that it's, how can I say, it's likely that the Earth is much older than we imagine, right? It's likely, and so I accept that to a degree. But you want me to make a religion of it? No. So I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not going to sit here and say
Nobody wants you to make a religion of anything.
And it's interesting you chose that word.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I hang my hat on it's this number. It might change tomorrow. It may be even older.
So.
Sure. It may be not as old. So I'm kind of in the realm. It's not a big.
Well, I mean,
deal.
it is possible for the Earth to be a little bit older or a little bit younger, but I don't think that range could fall outside of. I think it's like 70 or 90 million years, something like that. The Earth couldn't be any more than 70 to 90 million years older or younger than what it is, based on the radiometric dating results that we have from the Earth, the Moon, and numerous asteroids, all of which date to within, I think, like a couple 100 million years of each other.
Yeah, and I didn't come on here to uphold an old Earth, or a young Earth. I came up on here because I thought it was open to whatever your thoughts are, but I understand there's a clear delineation in the discussion. But
you can say whatever you want, dude.
And can I just say, Eloy?
Yeah.
Can I tell you why? And this is what I went in the beginning. It's not even that these numbers are close, though. If someone came to you and said, look, there's a total of $6,000 in your bank account, don't you think that would just be slightly different if someone came to you and went, there is $4.5 billion?
Why have billions when you could have thousands?
Amy, what I would say to respond to the gentleman as well that had said, I would say if somebody came to me and asked me about the age of the Earth, right, I would do the lay of the land. I would say, well, according to science, this, and according to religion, that, and anything in between. I will not sit and say the science and just this, or it depends on the scenario. On what the conversation is, right? Now, I won't say
take that to the 1 second further, though.
I won't say. Let me just say this: I won't say to the religious dude or person, I won't say to them, I won't deny the other reckoning, because they might be set on the 6,000 years, and I can't
what if
deny
they're
them
wrong?
that either. I'll just say, hey, look, there's this. In other words, I really don't. I know what's there. I don't take a position on it. I'm not gonna
But
stab
can I
a
just,
flag.
and I see Wesley wants to, but I just want to press a little bit further. What if those two people, one of them said they were pushing either the 6,000 or the 4.5 billion number. One of those people said they could provide you empirical evidence. And one of those people said that they could give you a spiritual way of confirmation. Which way would you want to know that money is in your bank account?
Oh, okay, right. So when it So when it comes to physical,
That's what physical means. Chicka chicka chicka. I'm sorry, I'm just fucking with you.
No, that's exactly the chicka 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 chicka. When it comes to physical, the physical in that scenario that
The
you're
real
saying,
bling bling.
we're in the world of Mr. Science, but there's not just the world of Mr.
Mrs. Science.
That's
Mrs.
tough.
Science.
That's
It's actually MX Science.
Whatever.
That's a tough question,
There's
man.
another world. There's another world that
Sorry,
science.
Science is they them.
You can't fight. You can't fight a world of spirituality, and so you can't have that. It's not solvable.
If you offer $1 million in my lap to believe in this flying spaghetti monster, all right, cool. By the way, I'm going on every show and I'm arguing the flying spaghetti monster. I'm going to fulfill that commitment for that $1 million. So it's kind of a weird thing. I would just say, like Eli, is it fair to say? Would it be fair to say that you just don't know? Don't know.
It's fair to say that I myself, with my eyes and whatever my limit of knowledge is, do not have a capacity to know intrinsically, but I do know what the consensus says scientifically, and I do know what the spiritual side of things say, although it's a vast, sliding scale.
But you don't think one is more probable than the other?
And I've got a problem with no
probable?
Do we know anything intrinsically?
Do you think that what religious people say about the age of the Earth being like somewhere between a couple to several thousand years old is more probable than what the scientists say about it being roughly 4.5 billion years old?
The problem with this situation is this: there's already dig sites around the world that they've extracted, and they have their reckoning on their age. And it goes back in time quite significantly. And then you have structures that go back in time quite significantly. And they've dated these things. So, that's pretty compelling stuff. Now, I see that, I review the papers because it's my leisure thing to do. It's not like I review the papers and I'm interested in that because of history and so on, to my degree of capacity. And I find it, I'm not sitting there questioning that. I'm reading it in the totality of all the information that I'm studying and consuming. Now, this importance of the old age is important to know all these things, but to me, it's just one other piece in this huge maze. I don't think that it falls in the world of battling it out with religion and science.
Nor
the way
do
it's posed here. I think it doesn't work.
So do I, which is why I don't know why religious
point.
people bring up a young Earth. It doesn't really matter what the age of the Earth is.
And so I just want to interrupt because I know Wesley, we wanted to make a point.
If you're Jewish, this is something that no one else other than any Hebrew there will understand or know about. Blend, do not mix. I am he. What's going to happen, guys, is there's going to be a green Vulcan. In it is built a nuclear bomb. And I have seen the car, and I have met the engineers that built it in the flesh. And
you heard this before, Pat, or what?
Yeah,
You're nodding your head.
I'm going to confirm what Jesus already showed you.
How do you know the Volkswagen is green? You sure it's not yellow?
It's a Volvo. It's a station wagon, and I have seen it.
Okay, Wesley, you've made the prediction before.
It blows up.
It's a green
Four
Volvo.
Russian submarines off of the Atlantic
You
coast
said
are
it's
waiting
going to happen
for
within
us
miles.
to bomb. You don't listen. That's your biggest problem. You don't listen.
I listened really well. I wrote it down. A green Volvo nuclear bomb in Chicago. It would happen in my lifetime, and we would get to see whether you are right or wrong. It's written
And
down.
America bombs the Kremlin.
Hey,
and
Wesley.
Russia bombs the
Wesley, can I
capital
ask you a
of the world.
question? Are
And
you free as a bird now?
Yeah.
And 32 nuclear-bearing Chinese submarines left in
Wesley.
what they call Operation
Look, it's going to
Terrible
happen
Dawn.
in our lifetime. So, and you're going to be there, and you're a lot older than me, so it can't be too far off, you know. So
You're going to be homeless with no
I
money.
want to test
and
something here,
disease
guys.
And
Really quick.
violence surrounding you.
Give me a second.
And I am going to come and visit every one of you
Wesley.
in the flesh.
Wesley, can I ask you a quick question? I just want to ask Wesley a really quick question. if I may.
I mean, this
Just,
is
just really quick. I want to test something. Wesley, what's your favorite color and why?
I'm a painter. I love all colors.
Okay, that's a fair answer. That,
I'm a professional painter.
There's some sanity in there.
My old paintings have been, I've been given offers from the oldest art gallery in Chicago at the Drake Hotel. They were offered to sell my works for about 6,000, 5,000 a piece.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. After listening to you for 10 minutes, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if in like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you could whip out an abso-frickin-lute masterpiece on a canvas. Because most people who can do that kind of sounded like you.
Well, I think it's great that you're doing artwork and it's really successful. I'm really happy for you. But you've made this prediction before. We've noted it down. We've got it down. If it happens, then you were right. I don't see what else there is to say about this because it's completely off topic.
Well, I also want to make a prediction, and then then we will go on topic. And
You're
once
not
again,
ready.
this is kinky. But I'm going to make this, which is a little bit of wish fulfillment, which is I think they will eventually override. They will have a revolution and remove Putin. And when they remove Putin, I am hoping that it goes something to closer, like either a democracy or a representative democracy where they have an incumbent president. Very important. An incumbent president that then hands it off to someone else.
Yes.
And
I
after
want
that
you to
happens,
be able
hold
to-
on. I just want me to have, hold on, just let me. And then after that happens, they're going to get better relations with the West. And we're going to stop talking about a lot about this nuclear talk. That is my prediction. I'm just putting that out there.
I want you to be able to live a great life doing whatever you want to do and not having any say or judgment about it. But if you don't tell the vision from Jesus Christ, it's going to be all taken away from you, everything you have. Now, let me tell you what you are doing by your apathy. And the proof of what I say is the two healed teeth in your mouth. Today, many Jewish children died, and they died of illnesses that you could have healed.
More
by
Africans
telling
died.
you, and you held it back by fraud. In the world of the spirit, you are murderers.
Wait,
There is
whoa.
no
Oh, wait,
answer.
hold on.
I'm not a
Can I
murderer.
freeze this? Let me freeze
Wait,
this.
yeah.
My
Now,
parents,
What do you mean by
are
you could have healed?
I come from
by
a
not
Jewish family. So
telling
break this
the
down for
reason.
me.
When
What
a
do
child
you mean?
dies and the doctor withholds the medicine, the doctor is a murderer. And that's what you are doing now.
Wait, who's you? Who
Who's
is you?
withholding
You
what?
say you are doing. Who is you?
All of you who had your wallets and money vanish for a minute. Several
Let me
times.
let me
Are you gonna say
go
something?
ahead.
what
Just
so
advocating
are
for
you
you
saying
two.
are you listen, grouping
What
people.
the fuck was that?
grouping people like that and making judgment calls on groups of people is insanity.
As the man that gave Noah the Quran,
that's
and as the man who speaks and interprets every language known to mankind and has the dove of God over my head,
no, dude. No,
you are murderers.
No. That's too much.
Do you or do you not have two healed teeth from Jesus in your mouth?
No.
What?
Wesley just healed that.
Well, then you're a murderer.
Hold on. Let me just. What religion are you? What religion are you?
I know you're getting. Trust me, we've gotten Zeno.
So you're a jangling.
What are you talking about, dude? You're. What are you talking about? What religion are you? Is my question.
I'm not going to regard that question.
Okay, you're not going to regard that. Okay,
he's a form of Christian.
Obviously,
you're a form of Christian, right? Well, listen.
I was called a man of the earth.
Okay, you're a man of the earth. Okay, so are you?
Jesus Christ.
According to the Jewish secret handed down from Noah.
Are you an American guy?
I am he.
Are you an American guy?
Come on, guys.
Are you an American guy?
Yeah. So
all right,
we should.
Are you an American guy?
We lost.
Yeah, I don't.
And I feel bad. I have to stop. I do have to stop because there is a line. People, we often get flack.
I think we're crossing the line.
Well, no, Wesley. People feel like we're punching down.
Send 2 angels to each of those rooms, please.
And we don't want to punch down. We want to go. We want to actually have good conversation. I think you are giving what you believe. We just can't help ourselves because to us,
you're embarrassed.
Well,
you're bashing.
I'm not embarrassed.
You're embarrassed to say Jesus is God. So people will hate you.
Your first statement was almost correct. People are saying
you're afraid you won't make money if you do.
That's screwed up, dude.
Nobody makes money in this.
There's never been a Christian who has made money off religion. That is something we can empirically test.
And there's nobody makes money in YouTube.
Other than that, I am not a psychiatrist.
I'm very concerned about you. I honestly,
psychiatrist
about Wesley. The stuff that you're
all visions, how I'm going to meet everybody on Earth.
Well, I
know it's going to happen now.
Well, I
saw the very first vision you all saw was the 3 days that happened last weekend, where the cat spirit mocked.
Never seen a vision.
32 thugs left China. That was the first vision you all saw.
Hey, Amy.
And it happened
Amy.
You
have incredible patience.
You saw it. Everything you were shown before it happened.
Well, I want to get it back just on the topic of the age of the earth.
Yeah, I would too, but I think we might have to give it the chippity chop. That in the discussion now in the
perspective. I don't want to minimize you. I don't want to say, hey, you're welcome to talk. I just really am concerned about you.
You did see happened last weekend.
Are you under the care of a psychiatrist at this time?
Well, Wesley, I see, and once again, we don't know how to handle it because when you say that, Wesley, here's the thing. None of us have had visions. So when you talk about visions, it sounds not rational to us. That's why everyone's making light of it and making jokes and going us. Not only, like, if we were having visions, we would be, I think, reacting very differently to you. I think all of us are just boosted in our skepticism. We don't mean to come off.
We're not trying to be
brush
mean.
away. Exactly.
Well, let me put it to you this way: for the murdering of those children, you're going to be punished. And
All right. I have to stop because
chippity chop.
Wesley.
Let's say what your piece is, Amy, on that, because
well, no, it's just my problem is when you make those declarative broad, like you are killers. You normally get those type of things in abortion debates, but what you're calling
Jesus,
us.
would you show them those that you healed? Because I told
I have one question. I have one question for Wesley. Wesley, is there any
No,
way that
please
you and I
don't.
could be friends?
I would hope that we would all be friends.
We are all friends.
Right,
I'd
so we
I'd
can,
like to learn what your talents and skills are, maybe learn a few things.
so we could be friends. Maybe we could like hang out in the pub and have a beer one night and talk.
I'll take a Guinness. I'll have a Guinness with you.
So it's okay for us to talk like philosophy or different aspects of life and the world and have a good discussion and over a beer, right? And
I'm Brute, and I'm just trying to wake you up to what's really going on.
Okay, well, I mean, that's
and
fine.
Can I ask you a question, Wesley?
Oh, no.
Sure.
Can you name something that you know for sure is scientific and empirical? Something that you think just everyone, nothing, just completely scientific. It can be as mundane as you think. I just want to find something we can.
Can you answer that question for me?
Sure. Well, I could.
The script.
I could, but I feel like if I do, I'll give you an example. Something scientific. I believe in medicine. I believe in double-blind studies. I think there is, you could talk about why big companies take advantages of a lot of things, especially here in America. But I do think that I enjoy medicine, and I think everyone enjoys medicine, atheist or theist. So anything scientific, engineering, technology, just something.
By empirical proof, do you mean somebody actually saying it happened, or just that it happened?
Something that we all
like
use.
Perhaps an open heart surgery in a surgical room at Cabell County Huntington Hospital that was healed like that.
No,
like
damn
that.
it. We were so Wesley, I love you. We were so close to
And
something.
nobody's saying anything about it, that kind of thing?
No, so not a miracle. I'm not asking you, it's not
miracle,
a trick
dude.
question. I'm literally trying to just draw us. I'm trying to find us a starting point. Just something that we could all agree. Do you, you know what? And this will sound.
If it doesn't cost money and it's from Jesus, you're not going to say anything about it.
I got one.
And it's from God, you're not going to do it.
I can feel this. All right, Wesley.
If you drop something out of your hand, will it hit the ground?
That's a good one.
Amy really thinks she speaks Westlish. I don't think you speak Westlish, Amy.
Wesley, you might
know what this does
Wesley,
do?
No.
What this does
we all
do?
go to Eternal Israel, then you can say, yeah, you were right.
I speak
we'll have to wait till then.
Wesley, the world is closer to flat or closer to round?
It's a sphere. It's
Yes!
sort of an oblong sphere.
Wow.
A point of agreement. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
What made you guys think Wesley was a flat earther?
I just am trying to
Example.
find a starting point. That really
Trying to
is.
point
The
out
whole
that
channel
science
is just
works,
agreed
that
on
you can-
something.
You can infer
What is
truth about
what is
reality.
gravity?
Did a can of black beans appear in thin air in my little apartment in Chicago? Possibly. I wasn't paying that much attention.
So gravity is black beans appearing
This
in
is
your
insulting.
cabinet in
This is
Chicago.
I don't
this is
think
an
it-
insulting
I
downgrade.
didn't
of this.
see it appear. It didn't show up behind a veil to me. I turned away and then it was there, or I was just absent-minded and didn't realize it. That was years ago. That was
Most
maybe
likely.
7 years.
I need to ask, or should we get this back on track with the young Earth and
Age
Chippity chop.
of the Earth.
Age of the Earth?
What's up, Shane the Skeptic?
Or is there no vote?
I just want you guys to tell the vision. Will you please just tell it? That's all I want you to do. And
the vision that I saw
your
was
soul
that there
gets
was a
cleaned up
man
and
in
you
black.
get to be
Did
smarter
you want me to tell you the
and
vision, Wesley?
more poignant and
Did you want me to
straightforward.
tell you the
and
vision?
words start to have meaning.
So, Wesley, can I ask you a question?
But then we're gonna, after he answers, we're gonna get Pseudonym in.
If I came to you and said, hey, in 2 years' time, a meteorite is going to strike me while I'm standing in a park and everybody around me is going to be obliterated and I'm going to be standing there and then I'm going to fly across the park into the horizon, what would you think of me? What would your first reaction be? Just gut reaction.
I can't imagine what it would be. Probably startled, maybe a little bit shocked, maybe somewhat even angry.
Would you believe me?
If you flew across say it again.
No, if I told you that a meteorite came down and hit me and a group of people or would happen in the future, right? In 2 years, a meteorite would come down, hit me and a bunch of people, kill everybody. I would fly away completely unharmed. Would you believe me if I said that is a prophecy that I'm making that will come to pass?
If it were from God and Jesus and he had shown it to me, I believe it.
You can't tell that. You can't tell. To me, I'm just telling you, like, just if I one day said, hey, Wesley, this is going to happen, and there's no God involved, God doesn't tell anybody anything. It's just me telling you. Would you believe?
I'd say, man, you want to start a band? I bet you we can write some great tunes.
Sure. I mean, I might be a fantastic. Actually, my musical talent is zero. It's a terrible idea. But would you believe me that will come to pass?
Just lip sync, Mark.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so can you see why when you tell us the same kind of thing, we don't believe you?
No, I know that you know it's true.
Oh, well, you're wrong, but I mean...
Yeah. Well, you're a mind reader?
Right.
Well, mind reading is something
that's in Scripture, and Jesus showed it to you, and I'm just... I'm brazen enough to
so therefore,
it's
you
part
can
of the
read
scripture
minds.
where I hew out my own sepulchre.
Very convenient. This is a very
bragging
extreme convenient sort of other side of the coin. It's a very convenient extreme, like on the fringes of like toppling over the precipice. There's a spectrum of people that believe different things concerning Christianity. So let us put that on the table.
Actually,
clear.
Everybody knows.
Right now, there aren't any Christians. They all saw the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah, well, I don't believe you. Well, I don't believe you.
According to
Sorry.
Jesus, they are now Muslim or Allah. For Jesus told everyone.
Just let this end, inshallah.
Wait, what?
Jesus Christ appeared to everyone claiming
very convenient.
to be
very convenient. Very convenient.
I can show you. I can show you plenty of
guys.
Are you going to continue to marin up like a frog head Allah, or are you going to listen at that point?
Chippity chop.
I think that's a little bit condescending, Wesley. It's no real call for that, mate.
No, you're
first I thought he was complimenting Muslims. Then it went a 180.
Well, I mean,
you're interrupting what I say is the condescension.
Well, we're just trying to have a conversation here, and what I'm telling you,
told
same reason.
Everyone.
But it's funny, Wes, is that you just interrupted Mark, and you're continuing to interrupt Mark.
Well, that's okay.
Well, guys, I'm going to interrupt you both just to get someone into the conversation. You guys continue talking. Just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I said let this end, inshallah, and it ended. And guys, I might be a Muslim now.
No, it's a pseudonym.
Ever I've heard one. Leophilius, the newest Dawa channel. Leo Dawa.
Yeah, I was just about to say James Leo Dawa.
Leo Dawa.
Pseudonym, what is up? We are having fun. We are Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, or anything we would talk about tonight?
Hey, Amy, you look fantastic as always. James, Randolph, always glad to have you in.
Good to see you.
Mark, smart guy. Leo's semi-smart guy. The guy from Blade Runner on the bottom left. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Wesley. Hello. But it's been an interesting conversation. As far as me particularly, I probably hold that it's kind of a good back and forth as far as the age of the Earth. I myself take it it could probably go either way depending on how you look at certain things. But I myself personally think that it's probably
That's two
trillions
people
and
on here. I'm
trillions,
excited.
trillions and trillions of years old.
It's funny. It's older than the whole universe. Wow.
But see, I thought that'd be rare, and now we have two. I am excited because if we have two people on the fence, all I need to do is push. Just need to push.
That's not very nice.
I don't know.
No, but it'll feel good. It'll feel good when they land.
It's not a fence. It's just
he said trillions. That's not on the fence.
Did you say?
Oh yes, I will say. At the very end, he did seem to go towards.
No, it's not a. It's not a fence. It's just like I explained my thing. It may not be like.
I want you to know. I swear that's a compliment. We're
okay. Well, you know, I will.
Exactly, joking.
So
I will say I have a brand new
on
respect
on I would say on Gnostic theist channels, you're going to find that they use that as an insult. On agnostic atheist channels, we're like deists, pagans, whatever. Just come on over here, and the water's fine. Join science.
I like
we're
the
very
notion,
Big Tent.
I like the notion of the American standard, for whatever it's worth to other people, where of course it's a secular thing with an infusion of Christianity and such, but the American
Then how is
standard,
it secular?
the American standard, where generally speaking, you are responsible for yourself, your actions, as long as they don't cross and step on the tippy toes of somebody else. That's when your actions, your rights, your freedom of whatever ends. I like that notion, and you can go ahead and believe whatever wacky thing as long as it doesn't sort of, snowball into this thing where it affects all these other people adversely. So as a principle on my 1 to 10 list, that's probably high up there. Okay.
Well, that's a basic moral foundation.
Yes. It's a more yes.
That's fine. I mean, but moral and sort of facts about the world are separate things. No, but I get that. Yeah, that's important on your list, and
my list.
Morals are very important on my list as well. I mean, I have a moral structure. Most people will have some semblance of a moral structure, and it will usually be important to them. Whatever.
Nobody say the word ought. Lance will show up.
not do that.
I don't know who Lance is.
Yeah.
Me completely, Leo. I
agree. I agree with Eli. I agree with Eli. I agree with Eli. You can believe whatever you want as long as your beliefs do not trample on the rights of another human being. Flying spaghetti monster all day long. Who cares? Right?
Yes.
And I will say, guys, we're going to go for about 15, 30 more minutes. So if you want to join the panel, now is the time to do so, especially views that disagree from our own.
The insult, insult, this is a broad statement. The aspect of an insult or a covered or a very obvious insult when conducting just a back and forth or whatever, if it seems reasonable to a person to do that, sometimes you're caught off guard and emotions can run hot. There's levels of this and that, but there should be. This is my reckoning, according to my thing. You can't. But I think that if you've agreed to participate amongst others, yes, I got a little bit hot, a few times. But there is a level of respect that but this is my reckoning, and for you guys, maybe respect means telling me to go, telling me to go F off or something.
Have we told you that?
Look, everybody, it gets spicy sometimes. We all know that. We've all, got heated. I've blown up myself. I can't even imagine. Everybody, we have to understand that everybody's human. We all make mistakes. Forgive each other for those mistakes, because why would we hold on to that anger? It's so self-defeating.
Well, we could disagree. We could disagree and have good discourse.
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Sorry, I missed your name. I'm sorry, I've totally forgotten it. Is it Dowling? I'm sorry. Next to Wesley.
Jesus, would you send Darwin?
Oh, the guy with the guy with white headphones.
And tell him from Darwin himself whether evolution is real or not.
Are you talking about the guy with the white headphones and the glasses?
Yes.
That is Pat from Squatch Talk.
Pat, yeah,
we have two Pats.
Oh, that's
we love all of our Pats, though.
Oh, he said I was wrong.
What is the name of guy with weird black thing crawling up his spine?
Pseudonym.
That's
pseudonym.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Well, I actually had something, if I can draw us back to the flat Earth thing, and Eloy, I'd love to, honestly, and the whole idea that science and religion are separate, and I kind of have some thoughts on that, and I kind of do sort of agree, and a lot of sort of, especially naturalists will say, or people that only believe in the natural world, say, hey, preclude the supernatural straight out of the gate, say, hey, there's no methodology for the supernatural, and I kind of don't preclude one. I think as long as you have a methodology that is reliable and reliably gives you accurate information, then that's fine. The best method we seem to have is
Let's have some fun.
But I'm not.
You send Einstein to them and tell them exactly how old the planet Earth is.
Wesley, come on. Let him.
Let's hear the gentleman.
Yeah, so I think that the scientific methodologies are the best we have so far at determining whether something is true or not. But I'm not going to say, hey, no other methodology will work. It's just that's the one that seems to work at the moment. And I'm completely open to another methodology that proves to be reliable. But I think you have to demonstrate that reliability rather than just say, hey, I have this methodology where I, like water dowsing, for instance, like you walk around with a stick and try and find water, and that methodology seems to be the same as chance. It doesn't seem to be a reliable way of finding water. If you're going to get something like a humidifier and walk around and try and find water, that will actually give you a way better rate. And we know that works. So that's sort of what I'm getting at. I don't preclude methodologies, but I don't know of another one that gives the same results as science has. So that's why I sort of put my flag, if you will, like you were alluding to, in science, because it seems to be the one that produces the results that I can rely on. For me,
I don't disagree with everything you just said. I do not disagree. I think that it's balanced. Could I, if I added this, would you think it's sort of reasonable, not reasonable, or somewhere in between? That as far as religion, not to say Christianity itself, but just religion, or the world of the spirituality, it's tied with many things, but also, so according to our practices and culture and whatnot, there's an aspect of morality, ethics that's involved in there, and those are it involves the tools that we use to not interpret, but use the knowledge that we gained in an ethical way. It's an avenue of ethics as well. Would that be fair? Like we have a discovery that we use the scientific method for, whatever that might be. There's so many things in the fields of computer and just, but society at large has also these tools that are on the moral spectrum, let's say. I don't know how better to say it.
Yeah, sure. Like religion has a moral foundation that it can use to implement morals in society. Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't contest that it does have a moral system. I personally believe that secular morals are in fact superior And there's a few reasons I can go into of why I believe that's the case. It's because we can, for a start, religious morality doesn't take into account any future cases. Like if you want to apply that moral system for, say, genetic copying of humans, or like cloning humans, or how the internet should be used, or what repercussions will GMOs have on society. Unfortunately, religious morals don't cover those future use cases, where secular morals generally tend to, because their moral structures are set up in the form of consequentialism or some form of utilitarianism that says, hey, this is the goal that we're after and this is how we're going to get to it, and then it can evaluate those morals. So I don't deny religion has moral value. I mean, a lot of things, a lot of different religions have moral value. I certainly wouldn't deny that, but I personally find secular morals to be superior.
So have you, okay, so that's fine. Have you noticed, I'm sure you have, all of you have, but as time has gone on, so imagine, just for the sake of this, imagine Christianity as it started and began to spread as it did, without any judgments of right now, as it did, as time went on, and like, you know, let's say European population went through the Dark Ages and right through into the Age of Discovery, and as it progressed, the Enlightenment and stuff, this forward movement with all these institutions that we've carried along with us generation after generation, religion being there, Christianity being there, moving along, it has also, maybe not to the liking of some people and more so to others, it has also progressed and incorporated all the other parts of culture and society to one degree or the other, so that it has advanced accordingly, maybe not to the degree that one would hope in, you know, if you're of a certain belief, but it has changed. So we're not doing Inquisition anymore and so on, but at the same time, or like in other societies, chopping heads off and rolling them down pyramids and so on.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I saw a foot cut off, and it means one will do, and it didn't bleed. And it means I fail you guys, not believing in Jesus' forgiveness. And it's revealed to my ears that just now a nuclear bomb has been released by one of the Chinese subs. Jesus, would you please stop it?
Wesley,
show on earth this thing.
Wesley, you're kind of going off topic, mate. We're trying to keep it on topic too.
Saving you from being killed by a nuclear bomb is
Dude, I wanted to hear what he had to say about that angle. Just half a second, just to hear the reply.
Thank you so much, Wesley, for stopping the nuclear
I feel
bomb.
you're not getting involved, and that's like a palm tree with orange red in the bottom, dark green leaves. I feel you with my reasons, my why, and that's a fashionable dirty black shoe on a foot cut off. I feel you guys not having a branch in your, and that's like a straight tree without branches. And I feel you whenever I blame or accuse you of anything.
Well,
and that's
I don't
like
think
a full
it's
white meat. I also feel you being double-tongued and double-hearted and double-minded. And sadly, I am often very double-minded. And in that way, I'm like two little creatures with big cone heads and nice clothes. One cuts off your foot, and then the other one lifts his hands, and they smile enjoying cutting your foot off.
Is nobody going to stop this?
Nobody's
going to stop this?
When I'm like that,
Holy
I feel
shit.
trying. I feel you.
Choices are our own. The consequences of our choices are our own. In fact, our choices seem to be the only thing we have control over. You know, let's leave determinism aside. Our own choices appear to be the things that we have control over. You've certainly spoken your piece, Wesley, and I appreciate that. But the choice that I make, whether to believe or not believe or whatever, is mine, and I'll take the responsibility. You haven't failed me or anybody else in any way, okay, mate? So don't worry about that. Don't be concerned about it. You've done the best that you can, and the rest is on us for whatever it's worth. I have lost my train of thought, Eloy. I am so sorry. Could you refresh my mind what you were saying? Sorry.
Yeah, I just I just do, and I'll just say that I do appreciate, even though we disagree, like all of us in certain points, but I
Sure.
do appreciate the act of being able to come into a situation. Thanks to Amy, thank you both, to come here and sort of talk about that. And we may not disagree in this and that, but I'm surely don't want to go ahead and tell you 10 nasty things um, in order to get a thrill, or in my mind that I think that I'm helping you by cussing you out. I mean, it makes to me no sense whatsoever to do
Well,
that.
I understand. I think
Pat
that
has
you're
a question.
about morality carried forward by
Yes.
religion and things like that, sort of, so science developing and religion. A lot of atheists will acknowledge, and I'm one of them, that religion was kind of our first attempt at everything. Really, it was our first attempt at philosophy, it was our first attempt at science, sort of understanding the why of things. It was our first attempt trying to make structures that work for people, so social systems and charity institutions. It's our first attempt at all of this, and we've sort of gotten to a point where those questions may be better answered by scientific institutions rather than religious ones. So it's kind of a genetic fallacy to say, hey, well, because they were the originator of these things, they have to be intrinsically involved in them. So a genetic fallacy is it's a fallacy where you analyze something by the place where it came from, right? So just because a seed grows into something doesn't mean it's still a seed and you can apply the properties of a seed to it. So the fact that a lot of these things, by certain events in the world, came from religion to the age of discovery to enlightenment, and then we have our scientific institutions from that, doesn't mean you can ascribe the same properties to those scientific institutions as the thing that they came from. But I mean, you have to acknowledge the vast cultural impact that religion has made in the world. But sometimes that hasn't been a good impact. Sometimes it's been
No,
One of the things that I have to
it's been used for notorious purposes as well, with the kings and queens of Europe and beyond, in order to get their way and dominion of lands, and it's a continuum of all sorts of things. But it is also true that it's one aspect within a world of many things that influence each other. And would you say that, would you agree? I'll say the whole bit. Would you agree that, I mean, you would agree because you just mentioned it. Religion has been used for nefarious purposes, in the ways that we know. But likewise, is
So is
anything
science.
else? That's where I was going. Is anything else? Not to point the finger, because that's not what I'm doing. But is anything else that humans are involved in, including science, not vulnerable to the whims of individuals seeking their own reward, or conspiracy amongst, and that's a dangerous word to say, but a group of people gathering to make some profit for whatever motive. Anything is vulnerable to these things, because it falls under the category of human beings involved in these institutions and so on.
I don't think deductive arguments are.
Huh?
I don't
You're
think deductive
fighting
arguments
something
are.
that
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
I
What?
said I don't
you're
like
having
a
to fight
deductive argument.
something that is against me.
What?
And it's a
Why?
thought.
Why are you talking? Why are you
Stop
talking?
the goy is
Why
a
are you
thought.
talking?
Just let Leo ask his question.
And I'm
And
having it now. Stop the goy
Why are you talking?
is the word of Allah.
Why are you talking?
I shall turn and toss
Why are
you
you
violently like a ball. Don't tell. Those are
Can we
electric.
can we get a mod in here to
moderator?
Like I said, Allah is telling you now
You
to
make your
stop
peace.
me.
All right.
So the what I was getting at is that the idea that there is absolutely nothing that can be completely free of like sort of human bias. I would say that really the only thing that can would be like analytic argumentation, deductive argumentation.
That well, maybe not.
Well, I mean, because with that,
there's going to be some
conclusion
kind of
necessarily,
humanity.
their conclusion in a deductive argument necessarily follows. Like, so for instance, if I said, all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Like, if both of those premises are true, and they are, you can't deny the conclusion unless you just want to be an irrational human being.
Yeah,
so I don't think that bias. I don't think that bias would have. I don't think that bias would have any play in specifically that. But that's quite a niche area. I don't think that
Yeah, it's not bias.
Many other areas are going to be free from bias, like
Sorry to interject.
Irrationality. Yeah.
Socrates agrees with me.
Mercy.
I'm sure he does.
What about Plato? No, forget I asked.
Einstein agrees with me.
I'm sure he does.
Did Pat
Darwin agrees with me?
Oh my God.
I will say, guys, there's about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to head into outros. So if you would like to join the panel, now is the time to. And if you guys have any more questions for each other,
Pat had a
now is
question
also
from
time.
before I wanted to try to get to. I think it was for Eloy.
Says, my question would be this: were the moral systems of the Maya and Aztecs equal to those of those who perpetrated the Spanish Inquisition?
Is that for me?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it morally equal? I think that they see, that's a very difficult thing. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you, but I will say this, that the Aztec and the Maya had their society, and they fought amongst themselves. There were various tribes that didn't much like the Aztecs. When the Spanish came, what ends up happening is that there were very few that came, but surely they had armor and such, but they were very few compared. Many of the tribes in the New World sided with the Spaniards in order to win, favor over the Aztecs and conquer them. So, in fact, it wasn't just the Spaniards that went ahead and did that. But you're talking about the Inquisition later on.
No one expects them.
There was a lot of the actions of man throughout history, and in that particular thing. I mean, it's how can you agree to that or assign it any level of it's horrible to go ahead and punish a person. It really is man punishing man. It really is
a different time.
Yeah, and there's the history thing.
Yeah.
It just that's a difficult thing to. It's a great question, but it would take forever to break it down because there was a lot of screwed up situations going on.
Angels, my man's department.
Night, Leo.
Night, Leo. Take care, mate.
Good night.
Peace out.
Yeah, thanks, Leo.
Leo Dawa.
I think it's
Leo Dawa, yeah. New Dawa channel.
New Dawa channel on the block.
I want to invite Kalel on. Speaking of that, I wish
he was on the Raging Atheist.
Exactly, that's what gave me the idea. Sending love to the Raging Atheist as well.
Just to make it clear, morality is like one of the most complicated things you're going to encounter, and were the Mayans moral for killing, or the Aztecs rather moral for killing and doing sacrifice? No. With the conquistadors moral for wiping? No. I don't think you can really compare two different ages and cultural groups and say you're moral, you're not, and then do a value. It's so hard to do. It's so difficult because morality in itself is just so complex. It's a minefield. So
I can't.
I would agree with you, Eloy. I couldn't make a designation there.
I can tell you this scenario that we're involved in is as decent even regardless of all the craziness that might have ensued. Is the most decent and balanced way to. Sure, there could be better participants could be, but this is the most balanced way people can interact and disagree or agree in a situation like this, as opposed to lancing us in the gut because you don't believe so such and such. So I will say that we're we're okay.
True
we're
story.
okay.
Yeah,
it's good discourse.
Yeah.
I love talking to people, and I love hearing different points of view. I have no problem in disagreeing with them, but I don't see why that should make people hostile to one another. Or I love Will, who's sometimes on here. He's one of my favorite people. Disagree with him about almost everything, like seriously, but I love the
Will is amazing.
Um,
In fact, check his channel at Will THFC Rants. TAFC.
THFC Rants.
There you go. But I actually, before we get out, I would be remiss if I didn't go through the page of notes that I took. So we're going to go smashingly on to topic and start with the theory of dinos were made up. They said that dinosaurs were made up and that it was actually used to hide the fact that dragons and giants exist.
I was going to say he made the famous row 77 argument when he showed that graphic, that in her argument is that she looked at toy dinosaurs and she doesn't see how the boy dinosaur could get his thingy inside the girl dinosaur, so therefore dinosaurs are fake. And he actually showed that graphic where he had it incredulous that they could reproduce. And to me, that's just a very, very, very bad argument. I'm sure the boy dinosaurs figured out how to get it in the right spot.
Someone brought out toy dinosaurs in a debate. Am I right? That they actually
that was row 77.
That was Rose. Yes. That was great.
Because he looked at toy dinosaurs and they couldn't be able to make babies because it doesn't work with the toys. So yeah.
You should clip that, James. Just bring it on every time. I could watch that forever.
And so I'm guessing the panel is not convinced of dragons or giants.
I'm not convinced.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's flip the script. Giants or dragons. Dinosaurs are dragons. I mean, dragons did exist, right? But 60 million years ago, 65 million years ago.
I like the theories and watching people, obviously because I'm here, but I love watching people debate these things. And I never felt like I've seen the gentleman here, the British gentleman. I'm sorry, I don't over here with on my right.
Mark?
On me.
Australian.
I'm
Australia.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Forgive me.
Yeah,
I've watched you in many of those. I've seen you in many of those flat Earth ones. I like the idea of battling that out because it's such a crazy thing. I like the idea of battling it out. Everybody goes away with their own beliefs and stuff, but I still remains in the same roughly. But it's still fun as heck. That kind of stuff,
It is fun.
Yeah,
I like it. It's good. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Although
Me and Mark
have crazy debates. I have to be honest with you.
We both debated Ken Hovind before, and I think we both failed to change his mind, but it was still a fun experience.
That was still a good experience. Yeah.
In fact, if you guys didn't know, I'll be debating Ken Hovind again May 20th on Standing for Truth, round 2. You don't want to miss it. 15 more feet of fun.
15 more feet of pure wild. What?
Yeah.
I thought we had a list of questions. So we're gonna note the cats have taken over.
The cats have taken over, Amy. She's now serving their will.
Bow to the overlords of the stream.
Gizmo is grooming himself right now, so he's.
He scratched on the door to get in, but then you open the door, and he's like,
"Meow.
Hi, I don't know if I want to go in." Cats, much like herding skeptics, we can't help ourselves.
That we can't.
Yes, moving forward, heart-shaped rocks. I think that was the theme of the debate, unless you look at the skeptic that was very angry about the
right,
flat
Senator
Earth
Cato.
position.
Thank you.
Round 2. That's right, James.
So my thoughts on these rocks is maybe there is some reason why, like sort of maybe hydrodynamics, like the water hits it on one side, it rolls around it, and I don't know. I'm not a geologist, and I am purely speculating. But maybe there is a reason scientifically why these rocks come out.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Possibly.
I can give you the reason. It's called pareidolia. That's the reason.
Just looking and seeing what you want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Well,
you can find any rock on this planet to resemble anything you want it to look like.
Sure.
If you look far long enough, you'll find it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So pareidolia, that's all that.
To be fair, his point was a significant portion of the rocks are like this kind of thing. And occasionally you get very weird shapes of rocks that you wouldn't think can be created by nature. There's something called,
sentence could have went anywhere, but we are talking about
there's something called witch stones, which is a rock with a hole in the center. And it's when it's gone into a river and the currents bore a hole through the center of it. This really weird thing. And they used to think in sort of ancient times, Celtic times, they were magical. I think they called them witch stones from memory. Pat Lowinger could probably tell you all about it.
Yeah, he probably. Well, yeah. I was just going to say the fact that there are probably billions and billions and billions of rocks on the Earth. You're going to get a certain number of them in every shape imaginable.
Again, pareidolia.
Yeah, I guess that my main problem with it is sort of Howard's thing is to go out and look at rocks. And it's just, I guess I really appreciate Erica and Jordan trying to say, hey, you've got to have some kind of methodology to ensure that you are eliminating bias. And he's just like, no, go out and look at rocks. And I guess, to my mind, just going and looking at rocks isn't going to solve that problem of pareidolia or bias in general. And that's my problem with his sort of just look at rocks approach to it.
So we do have to bring up sending so much love. I would be remiss if I didn't show his comment. Jamie did say, I knew a girlman some 15 years ago, whether in the pants or out of pants, I do not know. God knows. 2 Corinthians 12:2.
Amy can tell us what you have to do to get into Gavin's pants.
Well, I will say, Gavin, how you feeling about pants right now? Oh, he has other things that he's worried about, but he's doing good. We do that in between debates. He likes to keep busy. In fact, Jamie Russell is sending a super sticker. Woohoo! And it is a rainbow unicorn. Woo! Or I guess a unicorn is rainbow. One of those, because unicorns are amazing. Sending so much love, Jamie Russell. And I will say it's so funny that I do hope that the breakup sex was okay. But I'm just saying, sending love to praise Gavin.
They'll be friends again. Give it a month or two.
It was a very interesting second debate. That is all I will say. Is that it was almost the complete opposite of everything that was the first. But we're sending. So I mean, how much can you argue against reincarnation when that is the article that you're putting up in front of me, and it says reincarnation in the title, and the Christians are going, "Say Jesus." But hey, he was older. So we're sending love to older kids. I only heard Jesus, but maybe that was it all along. Wait, no, we were supposed to be Muslim.
Is that Wesley? Wait. I think he went to the bathroom there, and he's letting us watch. Thank you, Wesley.
But yeah, I think the only other note was really around that, because it was a heart-shaped debate, but we love hearts of all kinds here, except when they are blinded by the light.
Oh, thank you, Mark, for the super chat.
No worries.
$5.
There was yeah, it's not worth much. There's a lot of calls in the chat about like Howard being a poet, and I want to address this because if nobody else knows, there was a lot of calls. And if you don't know what a poet is someone pretending to be sincere when they're in fact not sincere and just trolling, basically. It arises from Poe's law, which Poe's law essentially states there is no way to tell the difference between somebody with sincere beliefs and somebody basically being a troll. People believe such radical things out there that there's no way to tell the difference between them. And I like to think of people as not being Poes and generally give them the benefit of the doubt. So I think he's sincere. I think he's wrong, but I think he's sincere. But like I can understand why Poe's law strikes again and you can't tell the difference.
And it's hard by definition because a Poe is someone really riding that line. They have beliefs that maybe aren't even in the mainstream of religious. And so it's hard to tell whether you should or shouldn't. We sometimes get flack. But we want to showcase as many people that also follow the TOS guides. The only gods that we can prove exist.
Can I add something to that?
Well, we just want to showcase a few things, and then can you say it actually in your outro? Because we're going to do super stickers and then outros.
All right.
So everyone will be able to. But I want to showcase Marguerite's $5 once again. We want to give a contribution to buy pants for Gavin Fund. This is something we need to set up.
But his ex-wife has all his money, so he's running a little hard up for money. I know that was below. I'm sorry, guys.
Low blow, and he's got no protection.
A low blow with no protection. Yeah.
But that's why you wear pants, so that when low blows happen, you have protection.
Oh, I feel so bad for getting in on this. Poor Gavin.
Listen, can I say? I mean, if I had to, and I said this on when I was with Praise in the debate, because I felt like he was getting so angry. He was getting so angry because the paper. I mean, I feel like I was being very nice, but it said reincarnation. James even said, like, you should have just gone for the jugular right there and just said, we can end it now, right?
You really
no, I changed topic. Instead,
you could have been, I would have been horrible. I would have been brutal. But yeah, no, you're much classier than me, Amy. I'll pay that.
Thank you.
Come on. I admit the truth. I've got no class. Let's face it.
But I mean,
he deserves it. He's aligned himself with the guy who's banned from Chuck E. Cheese. So
and that's
he made his
true.
bed. He can. He stabbed his best friend in the back. The guy
got nowhere to spend those tickets after all those coins.
For all this time, his best friend had been covering for him, and he just stabbed him in the back for the other guy. So he made his bed.
Well. In fact, I can't top anything on there. We're gonna send love to all of our support. Sorry, I saw Will on there on on Brett's stream last night, but then I also saw Rage on there. So I guess I'm sending love to the universe. Go check out all the lovely content creators out there.
And then we got a super sticker from
and yes, we have two. We got two scoops. We have a super sticker from Sephrin, and I do have to check because it is a big old thumbs up. Thank you so much, Sephrin. Sending thumbs up and love right back at you. Woohoo! Oh,
you guys know it.
Okay.
It's almost 5 a.m. Eastern time in America. We still have 30 people watching us. So thank you guys. We love you guys.
That's right.
You guys
We are
the best audience out there.
The best.
Marcus, like it's the middle of the day. I don't know what
to spend trillions a year on medical industry. Turn all the bombs to dust. Television for free, really easy.
I'm sorry, Wesley. I have to.
Well, no, and Wesley, I think James.
Let's do the last chat, yeah.
You're Wesley. No one's hearing you, man. I'm sorry.
Wesley, hold on 1 second. Save
it for your actual.
The thing with
nobody's hearing you, Wesley.
The problem with me is I just have more questions. It opens up, because can I tell you, when we talk about the thing with Xenu and nukes, it is one of the high casing marks of it being man-made is those things. So I think, and so Wesley, we go back and forth. Some of this, we were just talking about Poe's law. Some people, when you make those claims, and they're not like mundane claims. They're a mix of things that I think make it silly. Specifically, like the technology of just nukes. It just seems very random and very time constrained on something that is very human. There may be something that's going to be worse than nukes one day, and so
it's not going to be done in the fashion of men.
Okay, continue. To be continued though, because we'll still let you have your outro. We're gonna let everybody have our outro. We're gonna do this last comment and then pseudonym, because you were the first or the last to join us. You'll be the first to kick us off. But 10 euros from House of Comments, sending so much love, Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph.
DSR Christian
brother, he didn't come on the panel.
Yeah. God bless Amy.
And I know you've never heard me say that before.
And her merry band of Mr. Science Men. Doom, 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 doom. And you're right, James. That is the first time.
I never said it's sad Ralph didn't join the panel, but he sounds almost reasonable compared to some of what we heard tonight.
Well, and it's
almost reasonable, Ralph.
It's what the type of beliefs you never know, because we always joke someone in just one pew. You know, you can look to the left of you can look to the right of you, and they're both going to have different theological views than yourself, and then the gosh, don't even ask me about the row behind you. It's just like, yeah, everybody's got their views. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, we preach that agnosticism, that skepticism, that atheism.
Al Rickman. Hey, Al.
Negative.
But we are going to give everyone their outros, because we are moving into. It's been a fantastic. We've crossed hour 3, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a lot of fun. We have
Huevos deep in hour 3.
Woo-hoo! Yep, we have been midnight ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old, and we are moving into our outros. Pseudonym, what is up? We've been having a lot of fun. We've been midnight ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope you had a lot of fun. Tell us what you got going on, or where we can find you. And of course, we really want to know, what are your final thoughts?
Well, thank you for having me on, Amy. It's always a pleasure. Sending lots of hearts.
Thank you, Pseudonym. Good to have you.
But yeah, my outro is the same as my intro. I kind of kind of rickrolled by my, I guess, fellow theists at one point. But as far as the channel, Amy, I'm never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, and then probably never gonna run around and desert
Never
you.
going to make her cry. Never going to say goodbye.
Okay,
The
I'm going
content's
to hold you
always
to
good.
that promise.
But thank you. That's pretty much it.
And all right, thank you so very much, Pseudonym.
Thank you, Pseudonym.
It's so funny. Now I hear that song playing on the radio. It's like the meme brought it back to life. It is fantastic. All right. Oh, Wesley.
Hi, my name
We
is
have
Wesley.
been Midnight Ranting on Earth thousands or billions of years old. Please tell us, what are your final thoughts on the topic?
My name is Wesley Lawrence Curry II. Would you please say, I saw palm trees, and the top leaves were dark green, and the bottom half had orange-red centers in the dark green, and the palm trunks were branchless and uniquely curved each one, and weeds and crabgrass grew under them. I have failed you by not getting involved. And when I failed you, I failed Jesus. Would you please say, I saw green grass in a dream from Jesus Christ? That's what I have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you so very much, Wesley.
That was very poetic, Wesley. I agree with Mark on that one.
And all right, we are moving right along. I just noticed, did no more Pat?
Yeah, Pat dropped off a while ago.
Gotcha. Do. Let's see. I'm doing jazz hands to everyone out there. Eloy, we have been Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope you have been having a fantastic time. Where can people buy in? What are your final thoughts?
Now I know who stole my package.
Don't lay that heavy stuff on me. That outro you just hit me. I want to thank you for having me and all of us on, and for the conversation, regardless of disagreements and stuff. But don't we disagree with everybody on some things all the time, anyhow? And in fact, we're all in a very, I think, in a very real way, sort of like little Martians or aliens when it comes to the things that come out of my mouth that you receive. One word could have a different impression or depth to it, and my meaning is lost once it arrives at your ears, and vice versa. And we're really just a multitude of individuals operating with certain key things that we all sort of think we agree on, and some things we can all really agree on, other things not, and there's varieties within that. I think it's complicated, life is, and so I operate with the boundaries. My intention is to always, at best, operate within boundaries where I try not to damage the next person as much as I can possibly do that. And we always fail at doing that. So I operate in that fashion, allowing others to have their beliefs, while at the same time, at least in the verbal and in the mind, we can have objections and all that. But I appreciate the format, even though I again disagree with certain things. And nothing. I wish you all, and excuse me and forgive me. I did get a little bit pissy when this gentleman said some crazy stuff. I don't want to rehash that, but sometimes you get angry.
Struggle's real.
I wanna thank you guys, and the best to you. So God bless.
Thank you, Eloy. Woohoo!
Thanks, Eloy.
And all right, we're going to keep on going right down and then head to the after show in Discord. Mark, what is up? We have been Midnight Ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. Hope you had a fun time. Where can people find you? What you got going on? And what are your final thoughts?
People can find me around. I'm around. I'm around here. You'll see me. I do have a YouTube channel. Actually, I'll throw that in chat. I've got to get a better way to. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to come down on the Earth is billions of years old, and I think for me that I would like my methodology to be as reliable and as good for finding the truth about reality. And for my money, that does have to come down to science. And, as I said, I'm open to other methodologies, but you would have to show me that those methodologies are reliable and robust and able to cover all bases and basically be better than the scientific methodologies that currently I rely on. I'm not going to say that's impossible, but it does seem kind of difficult at the moment. And you would probably need the scientific method to show that your methodology is actually reliable. But at the same time, I'm not going to preclude other people's way of looking at things. And I agree with Eloy. And, I think Eloy's got it. We do disagree on stuff. Totally understand it, mate. We agree on a lot of stuff as well. Let's not minimize that. We do agree on a lot. We probably agree on a lot of the same morals of how to treat people and how to deal with people. Have the same values on many different things, even though there is disagreement. And that's what makes life fun and interesting, that we do disagree and can talk about these things. And I've had a blast. So I want to thank everybody so much. And I want to thank Randolph and Eloy, Pseudonym, Leo, Brett, Wesley. Beamsy was in there for a second, I think. I wrote his name down.
Beamsy was here, yeah.
Yeah, and both Pats, they're both equally wonderful, the two Pats that we do have, just to confuse me. So thank you so much. And, of course, Amy and James, it's a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you so much. Do give a like and subscribe. They definitely deserve it. Do ring the notification bell because it helps the channel so much, and I'd love to have more people coming in, disagreeing, presenting different opinions and points of view. And thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate it. I've had a blast. Thank you.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Happy to have you on, and also to have your debates on modern day debate and Debate Me, brah.
Senator Cato's a fan, Team Mark.
Woo-hoo.
Got a fan out there, Mark?
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
And all right. Go check out also Mark's channel. I had it not only on screen, but pinned in chat specifically because we want to get him his 100. We want to get him that sexy title, baby. So go ahead there or be square.
Before you get Randolph in, Amy, did you ever find your bat? Because Randolph was asking for your Godfather bat.
Oh, my. Oh, you know what? Okay.
He's the godfather of atheism, and the bat is for the mafia boss.
Randolph is the godfather of atheism. I truly believe that. I'm just throwing you under the bus, Randolph. That's all right, mate.
All right. This is first of all, this is the God's complaint department. Very
baseball bat of the baseball bat of kindness.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I had earlier to give that special swing of your baseball bat of kindness for Rick James, because his pre-show jokes about Chuck Norris have been nothing short of excellent.
You're trying to say that God's never going to give you F, never going to let you down,
never going to run around to hurt you.
Never going to hurt you. Exactly.
I love how Amy
I was on 4chan when that blew up. The crazy times. Now,
I love how Amy was just looking up when she talked about being let down.
Oh, well, and I forget which comedian created this bit, but they're always like, everyone always says, God, they look up. No one ever looks down. They never go, God, why?
Yeah, that's a good point, and you should make that part of your routine.
No, I got that from it. That's another comedian's bit. I wish.
Yeah, you got material.
So, quote anonymous. Or someone. But I will say, just a specialty to the props. This is very specifically a recreation of Harley Quinn's bat because I am a nerd. So if I'm gonna have a bat, it's definitely gonna be Harley Quinn's bat.
I do think the baseball bat of kindness is the right.
The baseball bat of kindness. Oh, I think that that Noah's picture in the community tab. I like the title of that hashtag loving God.
Oh, like Noah could have the bat hitting people's hands off as they try to cling to the ark.
Exactly.
God
they're on
wants you
his
to drown.
lawn. Of course, lawns don't exist anymore in that moment, but picky. And all right, speaking of the godfather of atheism, Randolph Richardson, what is up? We have been midnight ranting on Earth, thousands or billions of years old. I hope you had a fun time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
These streams that you and James run are always so much fun. Thank you. Mark, and I think Mark summarized the requirements perfectly, so I won't rehash those. I'm going to stick with Carl Sagan on billions and billions. He said it so well. Brett, Eloy, and Wesley are kind of, I guess, fairly new here, and it was a pleasure talking with all of you. I know I didn't have much to say because a lot of people mostly listened tonight. But Eloy touched on disagreements, which I think is a fair observation. We do have different points of view, and it's the crux of the free exchange of ideas. If we're not able to discuss these different viewpoints, then the potential for progress is much less. So, it's important that people like Brett, Eloy, and Wesley and others join us on these, and that we have these great conversations. And one thing I really like about this format that you have, Amy and James, is that people get to have an opening point to make without being interrupted, and so person gets to put out their whole idea, and so we all are very clear on what people are talking about. So yeah, thank you for setting this up and providing it, and thank you to everybody tuning in as well. It's great talking with all of you.
Thanks so much, Randolph.
Thank
Love
you
having
so
you on.
very
Always a
much,
pleasure.
Randolph. And please follow Randolph Richardson, youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. That's LF, even if with spell check.
Even if Google tells you otherwise.
Yes, and
Yeah.
there we go.
Perfect.
So that you can find, I really have been enjoying Randolph's streams that he's been doing with a bunch of other theists have come on to try and convince a panel of atheists that God is real. They've been fantastic. They've had T-Jump and lots of our very own Peter from Gonna Get It, and lots of other fantastic atheists on there. So thank you so very much, Randolph.
Thank you very much. But I just have to point out that it was Taco who organized all of that.
And of course, Taco, the wonderful Taco.
Yeah.
And
so we
he's
have
been a great host.
Yeah, and we have another one coming up this Sunday on my channel, and it's somebody earlier had expressed to me, "Oh, has it been a fortnight already?"
Time goes fast when you're having fun.
Almost.
And all right.
It's a fortnightly stream, so that's great. We also, on April 20th, I had a 4:20 stream with Neil the 604 Atheist
Oh
at
my.
4:20 p.m. Pacific time. So it's on my channel as well. There's actually 2 of them there. One of them got cut off in about an hour because Google Meets has a automatic cutoff. So I registered for an account and was able to do the rest without getting cut off. And I had closed captions going, so the first part was a little bit muted for the first 5 minutes or so, but people could still understand what we were saying because the captions came up. So Google Meets turned out to be good platform for that. So, but it was good because Neil right now can't smoke marijuana or drink much because of some medication that he's on for an anticoagulant medication because he had a blood clot last year, and so he was completely lucid. Unfortunately, didn't get to smoke during the stream, but because of that, I guess he was very focused. And we talked about the legalization of cannabis, marijuana in Canada here, and some other aspects of the law. And he talked about how the plants, male and female plants, work with marijuana, the different types of marijuana. It was quite educational. And then when I opened up the microphones, I got we had a couple of people come on. Wesley was there as well. Wesley joined us for a little bit and gave us his perspective on the problems with marijuana and crack.
Oh boy.
Canadian Ollyman came on and showed us a vast collection of glass pipes and bongs and whatnot, and a hookah, which some of them are amazing works of art. And then there's a lady from California, USA, came on and showed some marijuana and also talked about legalization in California and some of the problems with the testing. It looked like there's some corruption going on, but in the marijuana industry there. So I think we had quite a good stream on that. I'm getting feedback from people that they enjoyed it because they found it to be quite informative. So I appreciate all the feedback. Thank you, everybody, and thank you.
Thank you, Randolph. Send in so much love.
Thank you very much.
And all right,
We're ready.
handing the keys
The producer's
over to
really
the
tired. He is
co-pilot
ready
and the
for a nap.
producer. That's right. I can see. Oh, he's so adorable, though. But, James, we have been midnight ranting on Earth thousands or billions of years old.
Of years. Why have an Earth billions of years when you could have thousands of years?
Exactly. Well, thus,
Thank you, Robert.
I guess I have to ask you for sending so much love, Robert.
Goddess Amy.
Oh my!
I guess I'm a prophet now because Amy's thing is always why prophets, but
exactly why prophets?
I guess
unless you can prophets.
We could have prophets for atheism. We just tell people to listen to what the scientists say, and they're probably right.
Yeah, I guess we would have to, unfortunately, go with the truth. That's the
prophets
sad
of reality.
Thing. Yeah, well, I like to view ourselves as merchants of doubt. That kind of counts as something. It's a T-shirt I'd like to actually make.
Yeah, a good idea for the merch thing. But wow, it is after 5 a.m. and we still have almost 30 people watching. That is amazing. We love you guys. Thanks for coming on this journey with us. It was
that's what he or she said. Okay.
Quite a wild ride, but we made it to the end. Everybody's okay. Nobody lost any arms or legs, hopefully. And yeah, thanks, guys. We will be back. Probably not tomorrow, but probably the day after. So look for upcoming stream. And have a good night. Get some sleep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Senator.
Exactly. Woo-hoo!
Thanks, Command Cyborg.
I do want to thank you all for joining us on this episode of Midnight Ranting.
Thanks again, Amy.
Absolutely.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
A fascinating panel. We're getting to learn each other's views, and we're really just trying to seek the truth. But
sometimes you have to let me paint your face.
Paint my face?
Well,
it's funny you say that because I part of the reason sometimes that we are run on Amy time is because I have my monologue that I set up, but also because I put my face on. So do you mean face paint?
Actually,
I
you know
think
what?
he meant with
I don't
paint.
want to. Do I
think
want
he
to
meant
search
something else.
this? Oh my, that's
I want to paint it analogous, make a picture of it, and then use the negative of the picture to see if it looks like you.
Like make Amy's face on like the Shroud of Turin. And
Like
so
if
she
you
was
took a
Jesus.
photo, if I took a photo of any of you,
Shroud of
and I
Newman.
looked at-
Shroud of
if I
Newman,
took a
yeah.
photo of you and I looked at the negative of the photo, the skin would be green, black would be white, orange would be green, or the opposite color, the negative.
See, would that be in her reptilian form?
Then I use that set of colors to paint your face and take a picture of that and look at the negative of that and see if it comes out looking
real.
It's just a color experiment.
Hey,
A
we
negative of a
landed
negative.
somewhere and it wasn't with lasers, so I'm just happy.
I'd love to see some of Wesley's artwork sometime. Is there anything you can show us in a future episode or something, Wesley? Just
Sure, I'll try to have something ready for you next time.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. I like art. I've got no artistic talents, but I do like art.
Oh, me either, Mark. We're in the same
I'm
boat.
only good when art and technology meet. When they meet, I can do stuff. But
the synthesis.
But I hope you all had a fantastic time on this episode, Misfits one and all, of Midnight Ranting Earth 1,000 or billion years old, where we did put the the age of the Earth into the hot seat for an earthly good time. I do want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guest. I hear his pings in the back of my head, like Peter's bing, bing. I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with with my jazz hands. No, all of the people out here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank James W., Gizmo, and of course our guests, Randolph, Mark, Eloy, Beamsy, Brett, Nick, Leophilius, Pat, Lowinger, Pat, Squatch Talk, Wesley, and Pseudonym, as well as our awesome mods who make this stream so great. All of the lovely people in chat, and of course, viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to that bell icon, which when set to all, woohoo, will send you access to our premieres. And hey, reminders to join our live streams. Or hey,
where's Sunflower? He didn't come on the stream.
Yeah, it's true, but was he out there earlier though?
He was out there in chat. Yeah.
We're sending love to all of our theist brothers and sisters. But yes, if you'd like, leave a video once the comment's done. But after the show, we will be heading to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. Lastly, if you would like to help us make even more content, we offer some perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman.
And even if you don't like our content, go on there and be a Patreon anyway.
That's right. protest in a very weird way. So we
Protest
could
with
just
your dollars is the best form of protest.
exactly. It's
It
what
really hurt
well,
us. It
James,
really get us to the
Jesus
core.
said, "Give all of your money away and then go find him somewhere," which is weird because my yoga teacher just tries to teach me, how to stretch and then, well, how to do poses that aren't as missionary as I
downward dog.
thought. But yes, exactly. Now you're getting it. But Jesus is a hell of a guy. Anyway, I want to thank you all. Sending love. We'll see you over at the after show on Discord. Mwah!
Love you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.